one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The 18th is the Thursday. The 18th is
The next regular meeting is scheduled for Friday, January 12th, 2018 at 9 a.m. at the Island View Restaurant, 35468 Tea Time Circle. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So move. Second.
Any questions? Public comment on the consent agenda? Chrissy?
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Camp?
Yes.
President Gilpin?
Yes. I need a motion to accept the action agenda.
So motion to accept. Second.
Okay. Any questions? Chrissy?
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Camp?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
President Gilpin?
Yes. Resolution number 2017-1208-69, a resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to approve the removal of government lien from the district property to be used for conservation purposes. Tanya, are you going to speak to that, Tanya?
We need a motion.
Oh, motion to accept.
Second. I'm waiting for anybody else. Motion to accept. Second.
Okay, Tanya.
I'll talk about it a little bit. Mr. Worth is owner of other property within the county. He is seeking to, for mitigation purposes, conservation mitigation purposes, is wanting to transfer this property to the county. The county's already signed off on that. They're going to accept it. The only issue is that the DEP, in order for the Florida DEP to allow the conservation to be placed on the property, we have to remove our governmental lien so that it can be, so that the conservation easement can be placed on it. That's the basic short of it, long and short of it. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
Anybody have any questions? No. Public comment? Chrissy?
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Camp?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
President Gilpin?
Yes. Resolution number 2017-1208-70, a resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to approve the extension of the Sun and Lake Homebuyer Membership Program through December 31st, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Jim? Do you have anything?
Yes, Jim Kurtzborn, General Manager, Sun and Lake Golf Club. The home buyer program is going very well. I would almost say better than expected. We had a great, what I would call catch rate the first year. Our first 14 home buyer people who have taken advantage of the program, 12 of those 14 have taken out memberships. So over 85%, that's a great result.
Any questions from the board?
I do have one question. I think it's a great program. My question is, and I've asked it before, I think. Do we have any feedback on these people that are joining after a one-year membership as to whether or not they would have bought and purchased in this area regardless of whether we offered a free membership? as an incentive? Do we have any statistics, I guess, easier to say, any statistics that says this particular program is an incentive for people to buy here?
We don't in writing, but we can easily send them all a letter and, thank them for joining and ask them a few sample questions to find out what helped them make their purchase choice and so forth. So we'll do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just an approach that we should take.
Yes, we'll do that.
I had one other question for Jim. Assuming that somebody buys, say, in January, then their 3-year expires next January. Are we charging them a full year's dues the following year, or do we prorate that?
The board has put in a policy where they can, for the first time it expires, they can exercise and extend their membership on a prorated basis per month to keep them as a member, and then they actually have to put down a deposit for their membership the following year. So if you're a part-time resident and you're going to leave in May and you expire March 1st, you would pay for March, April, and May, and then put down $1,000 towards your membership the next year to tie you in to being a member again.
I think that's great. I just didn't want us to be in a position of saying to somebody, well, your membership expires in August and you're in limbo till end of October or whatever the deal is. Okay, good.
No. Good question.
Any public comment? Chrissy?
Supervisor Camp?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes. President
Gopin?
Yes. Resolution number 2017-1208-71, a resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to award the bid for the new district golf cart fleet designated as RFP 17-10 to EasyGo as a lease purchase and award trade-in of existing fleet to EasyGo.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jim?
Yes. EasyGo did pleasantly surprise us with actually coming in with a better price than they had originally quoted when we went out to the 3 major manufacturers, and I believe that was part of the fact the last Casper contract that they negotiated at Eaglebrook, Club Car actually came in with a better offer and took that business. So it was nice that their offer went down approximately $13,000 from their initial contract that they said they were going to put in as the RFP. Just as of note, in that document, it does state that our lease payment or our yearly cost is going to be $71,474. That is actually the cost to EasyGo, but our actual payment will include each year dock stamps. So those dock stamps do raise it a little bit less than $300 a year. So the correct amount on the lease agreement will be $71,737.27.
Okay.
And that's done in, just for the audience purpose, it's done in three payments?
Yes, we asked them, I would call it unconventional, but we requested annual payments to reduce on the interest expense. So yes, it's a payment within the month after receiving the carts and then annually the next 2 years. So that reduces our interest expense as much as possible and spreads the payment out over 3 fiscal years.
Very good. Anybody else from up here?
I saw we were transferring the GPS units from the old carts to the new ones. Are those still functional, working as they should, or?
Yes, the GPS, yeah, they are functioning, and they're actually in a starting of a trade-out program. So the GPS units that we got are not as good as the company intended them to be, and they've actually been problematic. In October, they actually waived our $1,400 or $1,400 fee for that month because we had units that had been out during the summer. They didn't really directly affect us because our volume during the summer doesn't involve that. But right now they're in the process of changing out those old units and putting in new ones. So we're with 100 carts, we're at 98 carts operational now. So what I would say is the company, I think, has done a great job working around having a unit that's been going down. So they've been trying and failing, but they have new units coming, and currently they have us up to close to 100% operation. So that's kind of a non-answer. I'm counting on the new units being good, because the past units were not, but it was the company's fault for buying them from the manufacturer they bought them from and getting a bad batch, but they've bent over backwards to do everything they can to service them, and I believe the new ones are going to be, better.
And our monthly cost on those things is what?
About $1,300 or $1,400 a month.
Okay, so we're almost $18,000 a year cost in having.
A little bit less, yes. And that's about what our club sponsorship GPS advertising brings in, so that's somewhat of a wash in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Okay.
One of them actually, the rentals, and I know we rent units at peak season. People, I don't know if that's January, February, March. I'm just curious. It's $250 for 10 units a month. Okay, how did you manage to do that?
They just do it as a service as part of the lease. Most of your cost is your transportation, back and forth.
Well, it would have been really nice if we could have got 100 of them at $25 a piece. The other thing is, I was going through the warranty, and it's kind of confusing in parts, and some of it's based on amp hours, some of it's based on years. Within our contract is 3 years, I believe, but in the warranty it pulls out four years. Is that because of the amp hours?
Correct. Yes, it's a little bit like a car where they do the 3 years, 36,000 miles, whichever one you hit first. Our usage level hits us at the 2,500 amp hours right at 3 years.
Okay.
So that's really the reason we're turning the carts now is that we have a 36-hole demand, which makes it even more difficult. During our season, we, turn a good 50% of our carts, and they need to be able to do that 36 holes. And once they hit that 2,500 hours, you really can't count on it.
Okay. If I read it correctly, we're going to have them by the end of this month?
December 29th is the projected date.
Okay, and the installation will be done for the GPS at that time?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I got just one minor thing, Jim. I assume you want 2 holders in each of the carts? 2 sign holders, whatever you call those things, in each of the carts. If you do, it's not specified in the agreement like it was last time. So you have to add the number 2 on, if that's what our intentions are.
Great, I'll review that with them.
Page 10.
Yes.
The last agreement, it specified 2. This agreement just says sign holders.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I'll double check. There's different pages, but I guess when you get to the actual contract with pricing, so for Exhibit A,
it's page 10 where they list it starts on 9 where they list the specifics, what's going to be in the cart. And if you go down to information holders, which is T, which just says information holder. It's a minor thing, but...
No, I'll make sure that's correct. They do get it right in the second page of Exhibit A. But I'll double check and make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Let me do that.
Any public comment? Chrissy?
Supervisor Stiegel,
Yes.
Supervisor Branson,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
Supervisor Camp,
Yes.
President Gilpin.
Yes. Okay, next is a discussion and a presentation on the investment strategy by Omar.
Good morning, Omar DeJesus, Finance Director. Is it working?
Yeah, I guess
we're fine.
A little bit.
Good morning, Omar DeJesus, Finance Director. I wanted to give the board and the public a brief presentation on the district's current investment strategy, what our policy states that we can do, what we currently have our money invested in, and what we look to do in the future. I've prepared a brief presentation, so we'll go side by slide. The first topic is what our currently policy states. Our investment policy pretty much mimics Florida Statute Chapter 218.415. It allows us to invest in local government investment pools, SEC-registered money market funds, interest-bearing CDs, and U.S. Treasury. Right now, the district only participates in two of those investment options, which is the local government investment pools and interest-bearing CDs. The next slide gives you a breakdown of where our current financial status is, where we have our money allocated, and some of the changes that we've made in the recent months. We've gone from the majority of our account, we have about over $5 million sitting in TD Bank, earning about 0.2% in interest. We've recently renegotiated that with the help of some investment advisors. We've got that up to 0.4 on the first million and then 0.95 on the rest, which has doubled our monthly interest income. So where we were making about over $50,000, we're now making about $75,000 in interest income. So we've made some major changes. Something that you'll notice here is we have 4 CDs, each earning different rates based off their length of time. We have 3 that are coming up for renewal pretty quick here. And our current rates that we're receiving are below standard or below market at the moment. So we're looking at really re-strategizing, diversifying a little bit, and adding some more investment options to our portfolio in order to get a greater yield. The last section on this slide tells you that we have 3 accounts in LGIPs, which is local government investment pools, and we only have $200,000 in those accounts. We're not really utilizing them to their full potential. We'd like to utilize them a little bit more. So that's kind of the strategy that we're going in the future, is diversifying a little bit more, looking for a greater yield in order to obtain that higher interest income. We've provided 2 proposals on the next slide. So we're going from where we are now at the $75,000 mark and where we could be if we allocate 2 different ways. One of the first option gets you over $80,000 in interest income, which is another $10,000, and then the second option gets you over $95,000, which is another $20,000. So we started at 50, we bumped it up to 75,000, and now we're looking to project somewhere around $90,000. We've have one of our investment pools that we've been looking at. We currently invest with Florida Prime, which is a state-run local government investment pool. They're probably, I think their assets are $8 billion, very large pool. Unfortunately, we just don't have that one-on-one contact. We don't have that customer service. We can't just pick up the phone and say, we'd like to move our money, or what do you recommend? We're just not getting that personal customer service that we feel we need here at the district. So we've reached out to some other local government pools. One of them is here today to give a brief presentation on what they've done. Jeff's a great guy. We've been working together. He actually assisted in getting that negotiated rate with TD Bank. I think he worked for Sarasota County. He handled $1 billion portfolio there. So I'll let him take the show, and then we'll come back and answer any questions you guys may have.
Omar, just quickly, we can't invest in just anything, right?
No, like I said, our investment policy is based on Florida statutes, and you can only invest in those 4 categories.
Yep.
So everything is dictated per the Florida statute.
Well, I just wanted everyone to know that, because we're not exactly...
Thank you so much, Omar. this on? Can you hear?
Yes, it is. Yes.
My name is Jeff Kern. I work with Water Walker Investments. We're an advisory firm based out of Tampa, Florida. I'm sorry I'm overdressed. I should have worn my golf shirt. I felt more comfortable in front of you guys. I could do that the next time. Unfortunately, my partner who was supposed to be here, David Jang, had a family emergency last night. I called Omar, and he's not going to be able to be here. But he's been working, both of us have been working with Omar to try to help the district increase their earnings. Safety is obviously our number one priority. So just to let you know that. So I'm just going to talk briefly about our firm. We've been, there we go, managing public funds since 2000. We do investment consulting and management separately. We also have 4 different investment pools that we manage that you could come in, and that's what Omar and we've been looking at. We have been selected as the manager for this Florida Fixed Income Trust. It's a yearly contract, and I'll talk a little bit about how that whole thing works. And again, we're under state statutes, 163 and then 218, as Omar talked about. So we only manage local governments. We're all fixed income, so we don't do any stocks or anything like that. Maybe that's probably what Omar is trying to say. So it's all fixed income, daily liquidity. So something your board, I think, would like to hear. We manage over $3.3 billion. That includes all our 4 pools and separately managed and consulting. And stop me if you have any questions along the way. Here's just a list of our Florida clients. We're all the way up in the Panhandle and all the way down into Key West. And we're growing. Like I said, we've been growing in the last 6 or 7 months. I came aboard in March. As Omar said, I've been in local government for 32 years. I managed Sarasota County's investment pool for 28 years, and then Lee County prior to that. So I've got some good experience. The way the Florida Fixed Income Trust structure, there's a board similar to you. We have 5 members on that board. The board members are from Pinellas County Schools, Miami-Dade College, Santa Rosa Tax Collector, Wakulla County School District, and Orlando Utilities Commission. So we have a good variety of people like yourself that help actually run the trust. They're the officers. So if you look at the trust, that we have accounting, we have the administration, which is Commonwealth Fund Services. We're the advisor. Again, it's a yearly contract, and the trustees are the ones that hire and tell us what we want to do. Custody is TD Bank, so you guys are familiar with TD Bank. The legal counsel is John Lively, and we are rated by S&P. So I'm on that committee, and they look at us every month. And so, and again, we have 4 different pools. I'll talk about those in the next page, but again, our participants are every kind of local government you can think of, and we really have been getting involved in the small districts like yourself. And we do have a revenue sharing program, which I'll talk to at the end. All right. Sorry. So, like I said, our first goal is safety. Safety as far as your investments. All of these are rated by S&P. 3 of them are AAA, and the other one is AA+. The preferred deposit pool is an FDIC insured program. It's earning 112 now, but the pool that we've talked about is the cash pool. It's a daily pool, dollar in, dollar out, so you don't have to worry about losing principal, and it's at 136. So quite higher than most of your other bank type instruments. And you can get that money any day. So it's a daily liquidity. Again, the NAV is $1. It's AAA rated. And the S1 Plus means it's the lowest volatility you can get in the marketplace. So the volatility as far as our investments are top notch. And the next page is our revenue sharing. What we do is we have an agreement with the district. For every dollar you put in, we give 1 basis point to the district as a revenue sharing. It doesn't come out of your interest. It comes out of our management fee. So that's something that I think is a nice little bonus for the FASD. And so we've been promoting that over the last couple of years. So again, like if you had $1 million in there, the FASD would receive $100 a year, and that can add up quite substantially. That's really kind of it. Unless you have any questions, there's a lot of stuff that Omar and I have talked about over the years. I think he's looked at our pool, he's looked at our due diligence, where our investments are, but I feel like we could really help you all out, make a little bit more money, and kind of be your advisor, and we'd love to do that. So if you have any questions.
So the fixed income trust that we're talking about, it's managed by you, was developed by you, or was it developed within the state and you manage it?
It's under state statutes, and so we have been investment advisors since 2000, and so this group came to us and wanted to create a pool. It started off with a core fund. The funds have changed over the years, but in the last 3 to 4 years, we've developed these 4 different strategies. The other LGIPs, the Prime only has 1 strategy. I think one of the other ones that Omar was looking at has 2 strategies. So we have 2 that are overnight. You can get your money in and out. It's daily. There's an enhanced cash, which is a little more than like a half a year. You can make a little more income. And then there's a 1 to 3 strategy right now earning almost 180. So that's another strategy you could look into. I think right now, Omar is just looking at the overnight 136, but that's the advantage we have.
That's kind of where I was going, because in the future, if we wanted to work with you within the parameters of 218, 415, or whatever statute, you could in fact work with the district to develop. I just want to make sure, because we had this discussion, you could develop a strategy that would be somewhat unique to us,
absolutely,
but yet fall within 218 statute.
Absolutely, yes. Okay. Everything is going to fall within that Chapter 218.
Okay.
We can't do anything outside, and really other local governments can't do that anyway. So.
Well, you wouldn't want to.
Yeah. No.
Just a point of clarification. Most of these deals I've looked at before, in essence, say they're overnight, but there's, call them what you want to, weasel words or whatever you want to say. You're basically making the spread because you're investing in longer term stuff, but guaranteeing us a overnight out if we wish to have it and if you have the liquidity, correct?
Right.
Okay, so we're basically not looking at overnight investments, yard and yard. It's kind of it's neither fish nor fowl. It's basically we're trying to get more income, but you're also taking extension risk.
Well, the cash pool that we're talking about, the average maturity on that is only 80 days, so it's very short. We have money market funds for liquidity. We have investments coming due all the time, so we have enough liquidity. We know our customers. Right now, we're getting a lot of money in because of the tax distributions from some of the bigger places. So we've got a good handle on the cash flows. But in essence, you're right. But most of this is money markets, real in and out liquidity. That's the same thing your money market funds are your SEC money market funds go into. So very short, everything's less than a year. So I hope that helps with that. It's the same thing that Prime and all the other LGIPs are invested in. So I know that Omar has looked at. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've looked at all the different LGIPs and invested in them myself. So
I did it for 30 years too, and I happened to be in West Virginia when theirs went to Tube City, and nobody could get their money out for months and days and forever. So
actually, when the SBA the SBA Prime fell apart in 2007, 2007, we were one of the only ones that could actually help some of our customers, some of the ones that got stuck in the pool. The Prime Fund couldn't get their money out. We were able to actually go in and liquidate money and get it for them. So actually we're able to do that for service. So,
I'm not specifically talking about your pool. I'm just talking about pools.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate your question. Any other questions? I certainly appreciate you allowing me to speak, and I would love to help you and Omar in this district and trying to improve your investments. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want any public comment? About this?
We plan on implementing this year, though. Is that a correct statement?
Correct. Water Walker, and there's a couple other. We've looked at we've met with 4 different pools. Water Walker, we feel comfortable starting a pool with them. There's another company, the Education Trust, that we're still vetting out and going through the due diligence on them. But we do look to open an account pretty quick here and start reallocating monies before year end.
Okay.
Very good.
Is there any negatives to when we start reallocating? Is there any penalty charges, or we're just moving stuff, or no penalty?
There's no fees on their end, so we can transfer it in. Like you said, it's daily, so we can just move it as we wish.
Okay.
Is that it, Mark? Thank you very much. Next is discussion request from the vacant lot owners on Pebble Beach Drive. Tanya, is that you?
Yes. Attached is a request that we have from the landowners on Pebble Beach Drive for the district to complete the road and remaining infrastructure. As mentioned in their letter, they own 26 lots, this group of owners, which 25 of them, I've marked in the attached map so you can see. In addition to their lots, we have 9 other private owners that own lots on that unfinished road. The district owns 1 and the county owns 2. So that's the makeup of the road. I asked Polston Engineering to submit some estimates to complete the road. Of the 37 total lots affected by the improvement, we have about an estimated cost of $691,000 to build the road, the drainage, water line, sewer line, and underground electrical for that road. The district is recommending to send a letter of consent to each individual owner, just the same way we did Torrega Street, to see if we can get 100% consent. If we do, then the district has, through the Board of Supervisors, the right to approve to move forward with this project. Each lot will be assessed a special assessment, we think in the range of $18,000, approximately maybe 19, just depending. We have 2 county lots there. We cannot assess those lots at all, so we'll be looking at that. So the district is recommending and asking the board today for permission to send letters to those owners.
Very good. Any comment?
I just want to clarify, because I had a pretty long conversation with Tanya. First of all, I think it's great that we have the ability to possibly add some more property, as well as bringing in revenue to the district. And it'll also make a lot of people understand how good Sun and Lake really is. My concern is we have to have 100% approval, correct?
Correct. We have to have 100% approval in order to avoid the other. Anytime you want to levy a special assessment, if you don't have the 100% approval, then you have to go through a different statutory process. The 100% approval allows you to avoid that statutory process.
Okay. So these people come back, give us 100% approval, let's say, whatever, and then we give them the terms and the conditions as to the time frame and the assessment rate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, once we do that, and the reason I'm asking this question is recently I've been approached by a number of people, and I don't have the history of being here a long time. A lot of people have expressed a concern over there when Hornick sold that property. There was a reasoning behind why he sold some of that property, and there was a question about water and flood zone area. I don't know that that's true, and I can't seem to find anything on it. are we going to do some kind of assessment of that particular area prior to any kind of road construction?
I would have to say yes, we'd have to do an assessment. There is an area that is wet, per se, and the district owns a lot, I think, in the area that you might be speaking of. We certainly could use that for drainage if we need to, but we would definitely need to do an assessment. But I believe that, Polston, this group has reached out to the district a number of times. So maybe there has already been an assessment done, and that's a conversation I need to have with Polston to see if there's any history there that maybe they did some work before my time, before being here at the district. So yeah,
And
definitely.
It was a while back.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't here at that time frame either. Like I said, I would like to see this area built, but I also have those concerns. I also would we have our existing deed restrictions, would those be in place?
Correct, yeah, they would already, these are lots within the district, so all the standard district, restrictions are already applied to these lots.
And if we make changes to our deed restrictions, because we're in the process of looking at that, they would not be grandfathered under the old deed restrictions, would they?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, just one question. It says the district has discussed financing options. So if let's say you get approval of everybody, and you come to us, do we have any idea yet what the financing options we're going to offer?
Omar and I have discussed it, and the financing options, I mean, we could finance this project ourselves as one option. We really haven't talked about any other definite options. Then of course we could go to a third party or a bank to finance it too, but I don't have any definite terms or anything like that. So did the conversations happen between Omar and I, just of what we could do internally for a project like this?
I mean, you mentioned financing it on our own. What would the benefits be if we did that?
The benefits would be that we could manage a special assessment, we could create our own terms, whether it's whatever interest rate that we, as a district. So that is a benefit to finance it internally, if that's something that we decide would be the best option for the district. And of course, I would bring that to the board.
Okay, thank you.
If I read the map correctly, this will connect to the existing roads on both sides, so this would give us completion of, is that Pebble Beach or Myrtle Beach, whichever?
Pebble, yes.
Kenny, I have lots of questions, but I think they're down the road, and I'm just glad that we can at least look into this, and I hope it goes through. But those lots are bigger, too, than normal, aren't they? It seems to me like they are. Just a little bigger.
I think I checked those, and I believe they were the same size.
80 by 125 is the standard. I didn't even check the size, but does anybody know?
They're 150, actually they're 150 by 100.
Oh, so okay.
150 by 100, and that's that's been the lot size, at least in that section. I know over in the preserve, it's a smaller, it's 125, I think, by 100, or 125 by 90, I believe.
There's also
it seems like stuff is going, we're getting more and more stuff, so I'm just happy, and I'm glad that you guys are on it. And I hope this works out for us.
Yeah, it's great to have the activity and possible revenue. So,
is there any public comment?
Good morning. Bill Norcross, resident of Pebble Beach Drive. I have the concern not to impede any kind of progress, but the history on Circular Drive and Connection, you can see it on Columbus, the speeding, the traffic. You got a 22-foot wide road, and you have people that are zipping up and down, and now we live on a cul-de-sac right now, and by the time they get to our house, they are going 25 to 35 miles an hour or more. Now, when you extend that, I would extend another 10 miles per hour, so that you're talking 45, maybe 50. Now, we have small children, we have dogs, cats, we have invalid people on Pebble Beach Drive, and then the history of the connection is just a speedway. So I just want to reiterate a concern that, yes, you're talking about increased revenue, population, use of the house lots and everything up there. Okay, fine, but the concern that I'm going to have is the speed, really, and whether it's going to be incorporated in the future, whatever plans are developed, that you have speed bumps, and you guarantee the best you can to keep the speed down, because it's a serious problem.
Welcome to Sun and Lake, Bill. Everybody else has these same problems, so we will do the best we can, but you're going to have speeders, and we're going to do the best we can. But I've had, in the last 3 weeks, people asking me about speed bumps on 3 different roads that I'm sure are very justified, but you can rest assured we will try, but you're going to have speeders. You're not going to have the luxury you've had in the past.
Well, also, there's another factor, too. I understood when I bought that house, the cul-de-sac, they could not complete it because there's some kind of watershed property up there. There is impedance to extend that. Now, we have a lot of projects that we all understand that they couldn't do a big shopping center because there was a flea or a toad or some animal or something like that. I don't think that's the case here, but I think I have been over there, and there is a stream that goes from the pond in back of the lavatory on the 5th hole.
Yep.
And where it ends up, I don't know. You know, you're going to build a road over that stream? I don't know. Is it possible?
We'll find out, Bill. Thank you for your comments.
But I am concerned about the speed.
Yeah. Well, and you should be, but trust me, there's a lot of that going on in Sun Lake. Anybody else?
Well,
Anybody else? Bill,
to add to that, really, Sun Lake Boulevard, it's got to be regulated somehow. I have got people going by me at 55 miles an hour, and it's not funny.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else?
He's getting his pen.
Any other comment from up here? Okay.
No.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion on the corporate golf membership.
That would be you. That would be you.
And I don't know who that would be. Would that be Ray?
Mr. Brooks?
That's me. Well, we had a marketing meeting, and I suggested to the group, since we have a corporate golf membership on a year-round basis, that we probably should find out if indeed it's justified or not. And by that I mean we should contact businesses locally in Sebring, excuse me, and find out if there's any interest in participating in a corporate membership here at Southern Lake. I told the group, if we strike out, nobody's interested, then perhaps we drop corporate memberships from our available memberships for next year. But if we got one, we might as well try and sell it, because we decided at $10,000. If we can sell 2 or 3, it's $30,000 worth of income for the club. So what I've done, I gave, what they're looking at is a list of criteria of information that we are going to notify these companies with. And just so you don't see it, but it says, obviously, they must be approved by the Board of Supervisors. Memberships will be prorated based on an October 1 anniversary date. Up to 4 players a day, 365 days a year. Unlimited play on both courses. Tee times will be required. They must present a corporate card when registering at the pro shop, and obviously we'll supply the card. Trail fees are included. No cost to ride in a club-owned cart. 3-week in advance tee times. $400 range credit. And 10% off regularly priced merchandise from the pro shop. So we're going to take these bullet points, if you would, put them into a letter, and then start contacting businesses like Allen J., the Florida Hospital, I don't know exactly who else, but we'll try and get 10 or 15 companies. Again, if there's an interest, great. If there's not, I'll report back to the board and recommend that we drop this as a membership going forward.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Any other comment?
So what you're really talking about is not a membership per se, but selling tea times.
I'm sorry, I didn't...
Well, it's not really a membership. You're selling tea times. You're selling up to 4 a day for 365 days. So you'd be talking potentially 12,000 or whatever the number is tea times.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
For
corporate membership.
$10,000.
If somebody wants to send, if the company, Alan J. wants to send 4 guys every day...
Okay, so but my point is you're talking about $1 a round if you allow unlimited play.
Yeah. Unless you guys disagree with it,
why
that's
would
what
we
our
do that?
intentions are.
I don't know why
I
we
doubt
would
very
do that.
seriously if a company is going to send 4 people every day of the year, but...
I do too, but it's potentially an issue for us. I mean...
If you guys feel we should change it, this is the time to say.
Well,
I'm comfortable the way it is. I'm not even sure we're going to sell any.
Well, the discussion on the 5-month was it was limited to $7,000 for 200 plays. In essence, you're talking $10,000 for 12,000 plays or whatever number you can come up with, potentially. I mean, that's the worst case scenario, but it's a whole lot different.
I think my feeling on the, when you put a cap on the number of rounds through a corporate membership, I just think it's a negative. It would be like putting, we sign up for our memberships and saying you can't play more than 250 times, which, I don't think we'd appreciate that.
Ray, I think that most of this had been discussed in the past, but there is one part that I have a question on. If you're going to send a letter out or try to market this, I'm not sure when you say the memberships will be prorated based on October 1 anniversary dates. Are you saying that, how would that be prorated? Wouldn't they be paying for a full year from October 1 to the following end of September?
What I'm trying to say here, because it's obviously we're already past October 1, and we're going to go out and try and sell this probably after the holidays. We go out in January. If somebody's interested in a membership, we would prorate it till October.
For this first year that you're doing the marketing?
It'd be prorated to October, and then they would sign up October to October like everybody else.
So that would only be for the first year that we're promoting the program?
The first year that... No, whenever they sign up. If they don't sign up on October 1, we would prorate it if they're new. If we sign up a company, it's prorated to October 1.
Okay, so next year, let's say you get Alan J. signs up in January.
Yeah.
You're going to prorate January to the end of September.
Right.
Okay.
Then he pays full price.
Then he pays full price.
Right.
Then the following, and then you happen to pick up Florida Hospital.
Right.
Okay. They join in January. They would be prorated?
Yes.
Okay.
First time they are prorated till October.
Okay. So now we get another corporation to be named later that wants to sign up in January.
Yeah.
And
I think we'd be happy. That'd be 3 companies, 30,000.
Well, they sign up in January, and they have 4 people that would normally pay $2,500 to $2,800 a membership, but now they get it for a prorated $8,000.
Correct, for 1 year.
Is that,
Yeah, no, you're right, the first year.
Yeah.
The issue for me, Ray, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, if Alan J. has 4 people that he designates as members, and they can come every day, that's okay. But if he's handing out tickets to everybody that buys a car from Alan J. to bring 4 people in here every day, I mean, we're going to wind up with not enough golf to take care of all these people. Is that what, so are you designating 4 members from Alan J., or are you saying Alan J., you send 4 people every day?
I don't think you can spell out that's 4 specific members. I mean, it's a corporate membership.
So we can't
lose
do
the
that.
whole definition of what a corporate membership is. I mean, we don't have to, if you guys think this is the wrong way to go, then perhaps we should just drop it and kill the membership. Yes.
It was, I think originally it was 1 there would have to be one person from the corporation to accompany the others.
Yes, correct, and 200 plays maximum for the 5-month membership. I mean, that's...
There is no play, we have no maximum play.
Yeah, but I can play as many times as I want to. I'm not handing out, I can't have everybody in Sebring play on my membership
I'm
for
just
free.
taking the corporate membership as it's listed on our website. That's all I did. I mean, it's there. So there is no restriction on play. If we want to change that.
It says
I guess
4
we can.
members.
Huh?
I thought it said 4 members, but I could be wrong. I don't...
I think it's a good idea, that what Mark just brought up, to have a member from the corporation be part of the group. I think that's fine, Ed.
I mean, this is just a discussion as to whether they want to market it and move forward. We do have it on our list now, and maybe, with some of the new ideas that have come about, maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know.
I don't think it is.
No.
Honestly, I think you're asking for trouble.
What do you want to do? I'm sorry.
I think you're asking for trouble when you say unlimited play for 4 people for unlimited, for 365 days. I mean, if you multiply, I'm not real good at math, but I can figure that out. We don't have enough capacity on the golf course to handle that. And certainly not for $10,000.
Again, this is a conversation. You all want to table it, we can table it.
Jim, what do you think?
It's a good question. So to understand, so the corporation, so L&J has 4 people, so like their top 4 executives can bring 3 people at any time?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean one of the top 4?
Sure, yeah, one of them could come and the president could bring 3 people.
Times in advance, like everybody else.
And we get to approve each one, so it's not like somebody can make up a corporation. This is going to be Florida Hospital or L&J or one of those. So there is the potential for overuse, but if it's only 4 people from a if they're just designating 4 people, that's probably more controlled, but there is there is the potential for a lot of money. If they bring 800 rounds and they paid $10,000, you're getting $1,250 a round. So there's a catch-22 there. It's just unpredictable. But obviously, a regular membership, you could get $1,250 a round out of.
But if I bring a guest, it costs me.
Yes, in season it's 43.
Where this would be nothing. I could bring 3 guests.
Yes,
logically, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, if the companies take advantage of it, if their executives that they name bring a lot of people, then obviously it's not going to be a very high APR per round. I guess we're counting on them working and not bringing that many players.
Well, if you extend the logic, not to pick on Sun Lake Realty, but Sun Lake Realty, you got Jim Service, you got members there that are paying a full membership, I guess. They could do this and allow all their salespeople or some of their salespeople to bring people every day. So you could in essence cost yourself money from your existing revenue as well as increase your play for nothing. I mean, I don't see the logic why we would do this.
No, you're correct. I didn't think about, if we have a current business, like you said, Sun and Lake Realty, if they had 4 members there, they all couldn't play at the same time, but they definitely could bring a lot of guests. There'd be a lot of plays for 10,000.
Well, if you want to put rounds of cap it, that's fine. If you want to scrap it, that's fine. You got to let me know what to do. I mean, this is my thought. And this is where I'd like to go with it. If you guys don't like it, we won't do it.
David, would if we decided to do away with this corporate membership, and we have a published list now, would we have to advertise an amendment to that list?
Yes.
We would. The other thing is, if we wanted to kind of avoid it this year, the membership, we just wouldn't promote it.
Right.
Not to market it.
Right.
I think the big, or one of the major issues is the way it was advertised is we're basically saying that we have one, but we don't really spell out what it is that we have, other than that a corporate membership is available for $10,000, and that it's going to. The one thing that we do know is it has to be approved by the board. So arguably, there's some negotiation there. But I think that's one thing the board's been trying to avoid is negotiating out special deals. People want to know that if I'm going to pay this $10,000 corporate rate, exactly what am I getting? So the 5-month plan that was, granted was shot down, correct, had at least a play limitation. So we knew, there's the $200 maximum play limitation. So if we want to continue to push forward with a corporate membership, I think that's the easiest way to protect the district, is to say, we don't care which individuals it are, you can bring up to 4 people. You can bring whatever 4 people that you want, as long as there's someone that's associated with the corporation that's bringing it. But there's a play maximum, and that maximum is whatever number you guys decide. That's the easiest way, in my opinion, to protect the district.
Until we look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what we're advertising right now online is a corporate membership for 4 people, not to bring guests. So it's just those 4 people. So our financial exposure now is, if those 4 people took out a single membership, it would roughly be $12,500 instead of $10,000.
Right.
So what we're looking at in bringing guests isn't what we have now. That would be something changed from what we have now. So I don't think as we see now, the exposure is a $2,500 loss, unless we amend it to bring guests.
Well, and I think that's what Ray's trying to figure, how would he market this, and if he markets it as one of the corporate members and then guests, then it throws that scenario where we're talking about the potential for a huge amount of rounds. And if that executive happens to be a salesperson, you can rest assured that he or she will be bringing clientele on a regular basis. Whole new twist.
There's quite a bit of stuff that, like I say, if guests is a concern, we could say, I don't know what our normal guest fee is, but we could say, corporate memberships are entitled to a discounted, guest fee. If you have a corporate membership, there's 4 corporate members, and those are people that have the membership, and instead of a $50 guest fee, that's the normal fee, we're going to knock it down to $35 guest fee or something like that. So they're still getting a benefit with their membership, but once again, it's limiting the district's exposure.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly can put the hooks in there, but you also have to market a $10,000 membership.
Well, is there a consensus we even want this, or I think we ought to work that way. If we want to do something, I guess you can do it, but if there's nobody who wants to try to tackle this, we can just do away with it.
I think you need to...
Just a minute. We're not done yet.
I would like to see it die a peaceful death. I mean, if we can't do a 5-month at $35 per round cost, I don't see doing an unlimited amount for $10,000. That just doesn't make sense to me logically. So if we don't want to have a 5-month membership, I don't know when we'd have a 12-month membership.
And I would join that gang.
Well, I didn't even hear that. What was?
I would join that gang over here.
What they say? I didn't hear what
he said. To do away with it. Dan recommended maybe to do away with it.
Do away with it. That's what his recommendation was.
You guys just...
Well, a couple of us were here when this all come up, Ray. And 2 of us here at this table, the only 2 that were left, voted not to even have one.
The board, I'm not going to get upset, but the board, I'm getting tired of hearing about the 3 guys that are new and the 2 guys that are old. The Board of Supervisors of Sun and Lake voted to have this.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. You got it. And I'm saying, okay, if we have it, let's try to take advantage of it and get more money for the club.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it can still be sitting there, but I don't see giving it unlimited. I don't like blank checks, just put it that way, and that's what we'd be doing if we allow people to bring 4 people every day for a whole year for $10,000.
I think it's there. We should market it as the 4 from the corporation and not guess.
Whatever you suggest. We haven't even sold one. I'm not even sure we can sell one. We're getting way ahead of ourselves because I don't even know if anybody's interested.
But you can't go out and present it to Alan J. until you give them the specifics of the terms of the corporate membership. And if they say, well, does that entitle me to guess, you have to have that answer at that point in time when you market it.
So based on what's here, what would you like to change?
Well, the way it's advertised right now, it's $10,000. It has to be approved by the board. That corporation has to be approved by the board. So that will eliminate LLCs and everything else that might crop up.
Right.
And the corporate members would have to be there. That's the way it's currently written. I'm not saying that's the way it has to be. I'm just saying that's the way it's currently written.
Okay.
As far as the trail fees, that all goes hand in hand with it. I don't remember if there was a range credit in there, but that's fine. The discounts are fine. I mean, all of that is good marketing.
So the only thing you want to add is that one of the 4 members has to be part of the group, or all 4 members have to be part of the group? I mean, that's ridiculous, so we'll never be able to sell it. I can tell you that. If we say all 4 members have to be present, that defeats the whole purpose of a corporate member.
That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you can't have a member and bring 3 guests for free.
That's what we're saying.
You can't have a member and bring 3 guests?
Yes. For free.
Any more than I can. I can bring 3 guests, but it costs me 40 whatever.
Yeah, but you're not paying $10,000.
I'm paying 4 for me.
If I'm paying $10,000 for a corporate membership, I'm an executive that's entitled to bring people from my corporation to golf, sales staff, administrative staff, workers for that corporation, not guests off the street. Then it is a benefit to a corporation. It's a perk. Say, hey, salesman of the month. I don't know, salesperson of the month. You get some free golf with me, and you go with the exec.
But you just said there has to be the 4 people. I'm confused. So one of the 4 people has to be present with 3 guests, or all the 4 people?
The way I read it is there has to be one person from the per se on the executive corporate listing.
Okay.
He or she can bring employees as a guest, but not an outside guest. For an example, you buy a car from Alan J.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You buy a car from Alan J., then any customer that purchased a car, the way it's kind of written, or the way you're proposing it, would have the ability to play. And that's when it would get into the 12,000 rounds. If you have to have an employee as part of that, i.e. guest, then it's a little more palatable.
And how are you going to police that? You going to ask them for their identification from the company? Well, I mean, seriously.
They could have an ID card that Alan J. could give out, right, that would identify them as a corporate employee or something from the membership, Jim. Is there something that we could give?
There's no way you're going to be able to
I didn't know. I'm just
differentiate a
saying.
customer versus an employee.
One of the 4 people maybe should have to present a card that we issued or something, maybe something to that nature.
Yeah, from listening to the discussion, I think the primary concern is how do the rounds net down? So in other words, it's 10 grand. How many rounds are they going to get for their 10 grand? So it seems like a round limit would give you more variability. So if you just said it was an employee of Alan J. who could bring anybody, so I'm a salesman and I sell you a car, I tell you you can have 2 friends and meet me at Sun and Lake. If there's a play limit that maxes that out at 250 rounds, then I know I'm getting $40 a round minimum, or if it's $300 a round, I know I'm getting $33. But I think what I'm hearing is that just putting it out there where there's kind of an unknown number and they could possibly play 800 times, there's concern for that. So it seems like putting a limit on the number of rounds with it would probably work. Then we just have to figure out what those rounds are and how much leeway it is. Because if you expand it, it's going to be more attractive. So if any salesman from L&J can bring someone, but we know there's a cap of 300 rounds, so we get $33 a round, I could see us being interested in that if it was that way. That way they know they're getting a good deal. They can get their golf at $33 a round as opposed to 55 or even a loyalty card rate of like 45. So that could be a middle ground that would work.
And 250 rounds would be $40 per round if they're, if you consider it a cap.
Or 300, I'd be okay with 300 rounds. I'm just saying I don't want blank checks flying here if we're going to do it.
That's fine.
I agree with you, Dan. I think that, and what, Dave said the same thing, to put a cap on the number of rounds, and that would be the easiest way to control it, I think. It might be a little harder to market it. I don't know. You'd have to think that through.
We may be solving a problem here that doesn't exist. I don't know.
What number would we like? Dan,
I'd say 300 if you want.
300?
And that's less than we were going to get per round on the 5-month membership, so I guess that's consistent.
Joe, you okay with that?
Yeah, I think if you have an employee and up to 3 guests and you limit it to 300 rounds, I think you're in control.
Okay. Michael?
Yeah.
You okay? You all right?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so we'll add 300 rounds is the cap. 1 representative of the 4 that sign up must be present.
I wouldn't name 4 specific people. I would say a representative of the company and 3 guests.
Yeah, as long as you got the 300 cap on it, I'm okay with that.
Okay, a representative of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Got
and
it.
3 guests.
And 3 guests. Up to 3 guests. Right? Because we don't care if they only bring 2, so up to 3 guests.
Right.
Okay. We'll include that. Do you guys want to see it before we send it out? Excuse me. Do you want to see the letter before it goes out?
I'm fine with everything else on there.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Mr. Holbert.
I just wanted to remind the board that the purpose behind the corporate membership was, I think you've delved into this way too deep. The reason we tried to start a corporate membership was to entice a real estate office to bring people out here and show them the golf course and the amenities of Sun and Lakes. So when they have people come down here and look for property, they could bring them out here and say, hey, you want to play around the golf? And bring them out here on the golf course. Not for L&J to bring out somebody that bought a car from them. For the hospital, for them to have their doctors to be able to come out here and play around the golf late in the afternoon because they're busy all day long. That was the purpose of the corporate membership in the first place. You guys have gone way too deep into this. It was for the radio station to help us broadcast and promote Sun and Lakes. Have the people that come down and sit at the radio station and talk about what's going on in Sun and Lakes, what's going on in Highlands County, and their DJs over there can bring them out here and play around the golf and say, hey, how about promoting Sun and Lakes? That was the purpose behind this corporate membership. And I think what we've done is we've forgotten what it was all about in the first place. And I think maybe you should go back and think about it again.
How many memberships did you guys sell? I don't remember.
It never, everybody kept pushing it off to the side, pushing it off to the side. Nobody would answer a question on whether or not we could do it. Nobody would get up and say, yes, we got it on the docket. No, it wasn't approved this year in the membership. It wasn't approved, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. You know, it never got off the ground.
Okay.
That was the purpose that we tried to get the whole thing going. So, but it wasn't for like Allen J or some of these other companies for to bring somebody down here that bought a car from them. Okay?
Those are all valid. Those are all valid points. But you did have what he's trying to do, I believe, and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. What Ray is trying to do is to come up with a program to market and promote the corporate membership. The corporate membership has been on the list for years and years and years, but as you said, it was never really promoted. But there's been a corporate membership there for a very long time.
Yeah, but
it was just never marketed.
Yeah, but the Allen J thing is not, and the $10,000 is way too high for a lot of these real estate offices and the radio stations and the companies that really could use it to their benefit and to our benefit. That 10 grand is way too high.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Thank you, Ray, very much.
My pleasure.
Add all items.
We have item G.
Gee.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry. I wonder why I want to go by this one. Discussion of the golf rules and regulations. Sorry.
We're doing that now?
Yeah, that's item G.
I don't want to do this. Go.
I would like to make a comment. Thanks, Chrissy. Chrissy typed up 90 pages, trying to do it as verbatim as she could. And to her credit, she did an outstanding job. It's unbelievable.
Who wants to do this? You, Jim?
I can run through it. I think we just have the document. We can start to work our way through it. I think the first changes that we look at are on page 1.
Wow.
And so really the questions I see on page 1, which was my question, was just do we want to have 2 people who aren't in a relationship be able to get 1 membership? It's kind of a yes or no. I think if we do, then it's great. If we don't, then I think we need to keep the statement of committed relationship.
I agree with that, Jim. I didn't feel good about that when I read through what we had done, and frankly, I think we need to have that. So I like the way you revised.
Which way would it read then? I'm sorry.
Just the first bullet there that's in red where it says we have a committed relationship of indefinite duration would be included. So that would be one of the conditions of a full membership for people. So,
but the first line up there says this 1-year membership provides 2 adults and residents together along with minor children. So that would have to be changed then, correct? If you're going to stipulate that they have to be a committed relationship.
I guess I just looked at those bullets as being additional information or additional restrictions to that definition.
You can't say
of
2 adults and a
membership.
resident together and then say it's a committed relationship down the road, down on a bullet point. You got to change The top part.
Right, okay.
Well, you could put committed relationships in the top part, whichever way you want to do it.
I can draft it in such a way we won't need bullets. It'll just all be a definition. I mean,
Great.
We don't have to have bullet points. I can draft that language to read as a single definition.
Great.
How are we going to verify it's a committed relationship? You going to ask them?
Yes, I mean, they'd have to tell us yes. Well, I mean, we're not going to check on it, but they're going to tell us, so...
You're going to really ask somebody, are you guys in a committed relationship? Come on. I mean...
It's part of the application for membership if it's drafted properly.
What is that?
I don't have a feeling on it. I just want to make sure that if two friends come down here and rent a condo together for 7 months and they take out a full membership, that we're okay with that. We don't need any changes if we're okay with it.
I'm really not
It's just kind of
okay.
contrary to the road. We started down defining this because we were concerned about the relationships, and now we've opened it up to...
Yeah, I think, based on my understanding, there's a membership application that everybody has to sign when they purchase their membership. We're just going to put the language on there. We're not going to police it. If someone's going to sign that they're in a committed relationship, they'll sign it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we went back to the word family, that would probably take care of everything. I know we don't like to use the word family, but that would...
Well, the question is whether or not we're going to police it. It's just that simple. Are we going to police whether or not they're in a committed relationship? I mean, because then we could just say we need to have to provide a copy of your marriage certificate.
Well, I guess I would say we are going to police it in the fact that if two guys sign up together and they don't have a relationship and they don't really live together, and the membership comes to us and question, they say, Joe and Fred really aren't together at all. Yeah, we're going to contact Joe and Fred and say, you signed this and said you were together, but that isn't the situation. Now, you're the lawyer. I don't know where it goes from there if Joe and Fred say that, yeah, we are, but I think it's just we're talking about what the intent is. There's putting a rule out. I mean, there's all kinds of rules. There's speed limits on roads that says it's 70 and people go 75, but it gives you we're putting out a guideline saying this is what we want.
No, I understand that, and I guess the main thing is I thought that was all, in my read of the situation, that would all be covered by if they're under the same roof. I mean, if two people show up and they show identification that shows they live in different residences, I mean, in my opinion, that's a problem. But I mean, if they're, my guess is they're going to be residing here in Sun Lakes. If they're purchasing an annual membership, they're going to be residing here. Well, they need to have the same address. Otherwise, they can't get this membership. So if they're living under the same roof, I think you can assume they're in some sort of a relationship. Now, I mean, is that to say that we can't have two male best friends that haven't gotten married that can purchase this? Absolutely, they can. Because they're going to sign anything that says that they're in a committed relationship. If I don't have a problem with the language being in there. But the question is it something that we're going to police? And if we find, we're going to do and potentially saying that we can move forward with an investigation and cancel someone's membership because we don't think they're in a committed relationship. That's not a place that I think the district should be in.
No. I think that's the best we can do. Keep it. This is the best we can do.
So what you
I'm unclear where we're at.
Yeah, me too.
I would say keep either the bullet point or in the description that says we're in a committed relationship, just knowing that it's something we probably can't enforce.
If they're willing to sign it,
I
think that should be good enough for us.
Right.
Because it's going to be on the membership application and it ends there. But we're not going to be canceling membership or investigating people.
It would require two signatures.
Yeah, they both have to sign.
Because the purpose of all this is not, at least in my mind, is to get something consistent. We weren't consistent.
Correct.
So I don't even know if we should be arguing about some of this stuff. I just want what's good for Ray is good for Mike.
No.
You know,
And I think we have that, and I think we now have what we want and how far we're going to go
Very
in
good.
enforcing it
Okay.
delineated.
Okay.
Then the rest of the page is just adding description. It's not changing anything.
Well, why do we take out these classifications also hold true for family full memberships? When we, in just talking about the 80, 85, and 90, that's been crossed out now.
Where are you?
Just it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, this line.
It was redundant. Or I guess that.
It's redundant? Okay.
Well, that wasn't mine, but, yeah, I mean, I would think the reason they did that is it was just stated single and full family, there's special reductions. So it's just redundant.
Okay.
And then down at the end, the junior executive was just to make it more descriptive.
We can go back up to the top. We haven't talked about this. On the 9/11, in case of an emergency, should we not maybe explain that a little bit further? Like, don't move the person. Remember we talked about that? Don't try and do anything foolish. Just call 911. Just add a little bit more information about that.
Yeah, I think it would be, yes, we'll look into that and see what, actually, we'll contact the emergency people and ask them what.
Yeah, because somebody said we shouldn't move the individual, just leave him where he is, that they have access now to get to anywhere on the courses.
Yes, we'll contact DMS to get their recommendations.
Okay, and then one other thing, on the Sundays, limited lunch menu between June 1 and September 30th. If I remember correctly, we didn't have lunch being offered during the summer. I may be wrong, but I think that's correct.
Yes, you are correct.
So that's got to be...
That needs to be
changed.
Adjusted, yes.
Because there is bar service, but not lunch.
Correct.
Page 1.
Anything else on page 1?
Move it right along.
Page 2, no real changes there other than...
Well, I have a question on page 2.
Yeah.
Sorry to do this.
No.
It says dues payment options. If you pay your membership by cash or check, you will receive a 2.3% discount on the pre-tax membership fee. Somebody, why where do we come with 2.3%? Why can't we say 2%, 3%? I mean, 2.3 just sounds like we had it once before and we never paid attention to it again.
Correct. So we can come up with a rate, or we can look at I'm sure that was the processing fee at the time.
I don't know.
And I think it's pretty consistent to what it is now, but
I think that was the processing
I'd really
fee.
only be guessing that that's the standard processing
2.3 sounds, make it 3% or something. Even make it an even number.
Oh, I like the idea of 3%.
We'll make it 3%. We'll try
Make it 5.
No, but 2.3 just doesn't, every year it's 2.3. That doesn't make sense.
In essence, that's probably the credit card processing fee, so that would get us to even.
Yeah, I think that's what it was based on.
There's reasons for this.
I'd verify that the 2.3 is the right number, but I don't have a problem with the decimal.
I don't know that I wouldn't feel more comfortable with something other than the exact credit card processing fee, because I'm not sure you can even do that legally legally, but most of your credit card merchant agreements say you won't.
We could just say that you receive a discount. One of the things here is 2.3 is what we did this year. Yeah. It's correct historically, but when we set the next budget, we'll be setting this again.
So why don't you just eliminate it from this?
So receive a discount, and then that way the amount is stated in the membership documents then, instead of here in there. And then it can change every year.
That's fine. I have a couple more while I'm on a roll. Membership refunds. In the event of death of a full member, refunds will be prorated for up to 6 months. I think that's pretty weak. I don't know why we don't prorate up to the anniversary date.
I think the reason...
Somebody passes away, I don't think you say, we're only going to give you 6 months, even though you could be entitled to 8.
Yeah, I think the reason that came up that way was that I'm going to say approximately half of our membership takes a full membership out just for a 6-month membership. So they come down from Wisconsin in October, they stay to March, then they go back in April. They've already gotten their value out of their membership, even if one of them does pass away.
Why don't we say refunds will be prorated for up to the time of their membership or something? Just reword it.
It just matters how much you want to give. It just matters how much you want to give back and how you look.
If you're a year-round member and you pay for year-round and you pass away and there's 4 months left in the year, what are you going to tell them? No good.
Well, it would be if the person's dead.
Well, you're going to tell the spouse.
Is this for family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Well, to Jim's point, if
this is pretty much going to be it just matters how you look at the 12 months of the membership. Basically, we make our money from October through March or April.
What's the difference?
Whatever you want to do.
About when a guy dies, for God's sake.
You all have 5 votes. What do you want to do? It's not. I have to ask the question. Do you have the answers? Do we want to change it to just prorated and get rid of the 6 months?
I'd like to leave it the same.
I would like to leave it the same.
I'd leave it the same.
Okay.
No worries.
Leave of absence medical. Doctors, you got to add doctor's note upon return. Since that's what you did to me, I assume that's what you should do for everybody. And I also want to challenge, since I've lost the last one, a one-time leave of absence I think is unfair to the membership. God forbid some guy has to have 2 surgeries in 3 years for 2 different reasons. We're saying okay on the first one, but not okay on the second one. I just don't think that's right.
No, what we're saying is the second one has to come back to the Board of Supervisors.
I think that one-time thing is in there because of, again, the initiation fee.
Right.
So if you took it out completely, I would have no issue with that.
But the issue is you could potentially have somebody wants to take a leave of absence in April, put it back in next October, take it again. I mean, you can have some real issues.
I think based on the board approval part of it, that's the important piece. There's been some history of some full-time members going 3-4 years based on surgeries. Never had to pay a membership because it was carried over and carried over, and they'd play 4 months, they'd get carried over that 4 months to the following year, then they'd get 2 more months that following year and get carried over. So they were paying for a 6-month membership when they were really getting a full year membership. I think it's that just for that protection. But whatever the board agrees to, I would agree with it, I guess.
I would leave it as it is.
Yeah. Just leave it, and it's up to the board. They can review it.
They can bring it back to the board.
Okay.
Perfect. Anything else on page 2? On page 3, there really isn't anything other than just in wordsmithing. We say ladies must wear proper golf attire. It should read ladies and gentlemen right under proper golf attire, that major paragraph.
Where's that?
So the second paragraph on the page, the 4th line, it says there, we're explaining different things, and it says ladies must wear proper golf attire at all times, and it should say ladies and gentlemen.
I don't see it. I'm sorry.
On page 3.
Page 3 where? Under proper golf attire?
Page 3 under proper golf attire, that paragraph, the 4th line. towards the end of it, after our sweatpants.
Oh, ladies must, oh, okay. So you're saying ladies and gentlemen?
Correct.
You probably should take the word zero out. I don't know what that means. To the left of proper golf attire?
That's correct. I'm not sure what that means
Did
either.
we leave the
says
word
zero.
tolerance out?
There was probably tolerance.
Tolerance,
there
we
it
just left
is.
the word tolerance out. If you want to add tolerance or just change the title.
I wouldn't have it say zero tolerance proper golf attire, because we don't really have proper golf attire. We've watered this down so much, it's a joke. You wear jeans. We're saying you can wear jeans on the golf course.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything else on page 3?
Yeah, the last line on the zero, failure to abide by this may result in removal from the course without a refunded.
No, it should
Without
be
a refund. Refund.
And I think on the very first paragraph, we're halfway down where it says failure to cancel your tee times, that should be a separate paragraph or another paragraph instead of running it all together.
Okay. Anything else on page 3?
Actually, have failure to check in will result in the possibility twice in there, in that paragraph, so you need to take one of them out.
Okay.
Are you accepting comments from the...
Me?
We will, Frank, when we're done with this, we will.
Well, each item, okay, by the time you get through this whole thing, it's going to be pretty deep. I have a thought on proper golf attire, and I'd like to express it.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, but the audience out here, we're trying to get through this, and we
I know, but,
we
you know,
got
this-
done at 2:00 the last time.
This is quite a large subject here,
Okay.
okay? And, you know, you're talking about, Frank Guglielmi, by the way, a resident, you're talking about proper golf attire. What exactly is that? Is it described anywhere? It's rather subjective, don't you think?
Yeah.
If there's no description of it anywhere, what's the sense? Let me give you an example. I used to belong to a private club up north, and I invited 3 people to play golf with me, okay? And one shows up in jeans. He had to buy a pair of pants in a pro shop, or he couldn't play.
Yeah, I've been
So exactly, how are we enforcing this? What is a description of proper golf attire? Okay. Those are 3 words which are subjective. They can mean different meanings to 10 different people.
Yeah, but we spell out what it is.
Where?
Right below it. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, it says casual attire is permitted throughout the clubhouse, practice facility, golf course, dungarees, blue jeans. You know, we spell out what you can and what you can't do. Women are not permitted to wear halter tops or short tennis shorts. Men are not permitted to wear tank top. I mean,
Okay, as long as you have a full description of it.
Well, I think it's spelled out. Whether you agree with it or not is another subject, but
Yeah,
it is
no,
spelled out.
that's okay. Well, all I'm asking is make sure that it's explained exactly what proper golf attire is in your view. Okay.
It is.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
It's outlined.
It's all the enforcement, Frank. Thank you.
Page 3, or move on to page 4. Really, not much was changed there, other than we allowed that members could use shag bags at the short game area, and took away that the yardage markers on the range, since we currently don't have them.
Yeah. Just because we don't have them doesn't mean we shouldn't be getting them. Are you telling me we are not going to get flags or markers?
Oh, we're getting flags, but this, I guess, I took this yardage indicator as having, they talked about signs in the ground and things like that, and we currently don't, I mean, that's currently not part of the budget. It's something we can look into getting, but we don't have it now.
Okay, so we're not going to get those little tent card type things with the yardage.
We could look to adding it, but we don't have it now.
We don't, I guess what I'm saying is we don't plan on buying them this year?
It's not in our current plans.
Okay. How about the flags for the top of,
Yes, they should be in very shortly.
Okay.
Any questions on flags?
We haven't had them on in the past, but we could put crystals on the flags so you could shoot it with your laser.
That's a good idea.
It's probably a good idea.
If there's no, it's not an expense, is it?
$20 a flag or something. Yeah, so we'll get flag crystals.
On the general policies for the driving range golf operations, we got an email from somebody, and I thought one point that this person brought up was a good point to add on. And it says, golf staff will monitor on a daily basis to assure compliance of driving range policies. If everybody's in agreement, I'd like to add that on.
Sounds good.
Golf staff
will monitor on a daily basis to assure compliance of driving range policies.
I actually wrote that down.
Huh?
It should already be happening, but I don't see any problem with putting it in there.
Okay.
Two revisions.
Great. Anything else on page 4?
Well, have we ever decided on the driving range policy, if somebody doesn't adhere to it, what happens, if anything? Let's go to page 5.
I would say any policy here that's what would you say, abused or disregarded, the staff would bring it to their attention that what they're doing is incorrect. But I guess what we're saying is what happens if they still disregard it?
I know it's difficult to, yeah. I mean, it's a tough one. I agree.
Without it being here at the end of the day, I guess it should end up at my office and have me deal with it.
Okay, let's go on. That's fine.
Page 5 just seems simple, other than the handicap flag policy, trying to simplify it. The only thing that was really, that I would add to it late would be only authorized flags distributed by the golf shop are allowed.
Why did we take out the pro shop manager will keep a list of all disabled flags that have been issued to members? I thought we were going to keep a list of all that stuff.
He's not, I mean, we don't have a current one, but we can start it.
I would think that we want to keep a list of everybody that's got a disabled flag that's a member, yeah.
So we'll start a list.
He took it out. No, they took it out.
Got two different versions too.
Yeah.
And then again, even being on the golf committee, I helped formulate this handicap flag policy, and I don't even recognize it anymore. So tell me, what exactly are the rules now for a person with a handicap flag? How do they? The stakes aren't out there anymore. So are we just telling them now? You can't go closer than 15 feet or 15 yards, and
yes.
That's what we're telling everybody?
Yes.
So it's a 15-yard policy.
It's a 15-yard policy, other than the club reserves the right,
special handicap
to get closer to the green.
So, but we took that out. Can we put that back in then?
It's in there. What was taken out was the two colors, the blue, yellow. There was concern about having a special color for the people who can get closer, and then if people wanted to ask for that, who would tell them no?
So are you doing away with the two color?
Correct.
Okay.
But where does it say 15 yards?
It says 15 yards, the very last bullet.
No.
But right under, on page 6, above payment programs,
Oh, okay, okay.
in caps.
Okay. This is all good.
We do have some people that are generating their own handicap flags and putting them on their carts, so we need to make sure that that's only Sun and Lake so that we can police who has them. And I think the list is appropriate, Ray, that we know who has been authorized. I think we should also, and this really isn't handicap flag, but a lot of our members seem to think that when they get to the red stakes, it's okay to go around on the opposite side of the green from the cart path to their ball and then either go behind the green or back to wherever. You know, when you get to the red stake, you're supposed to go to the cart path, not go around it to the right, not go around it to the left, go to the cart path and walk from there. And I think, I know that's happening. I see it all the time on number 12. So we need to, I don't know how we get the information out, but that is really a problem because those areas, a lot of them aren't getting watered and they're going to get beaten down, particularly in the wintertime with cart traffic.
And I can put that out in our GM update, and we can put it into the rules on page 8.
Okay.
Under golf cart operation.
The policy says 15 feet. Is it 15 yards?
Should be 15 feet.
15 feet, it says. Is that correct, Jim, or is it 15 yards?
I think it's 15 feet for handicap.
Okay, then it's written correctly. It's written correctly then.
15 feet, yeah.
But it's to the side or to the back of the green, not in the
5 yards. So, if we're letting everybody with a handicap flag be 5 yards away, with the really bad guys, how close are they going to get? 2 yards? 3 yards? I mean,
Front tires are on the ground.
front tires will be on the right, on the fridge.
No, I think you're right. I think we lost the 15 yards somewhere, and it needs to be there for the regular handicap people. Shouldn't be closer than 15 yards.
I think you should move that under the handicap flag policy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They can't be closer than 15 yards, and take it out of the abuse of the handicap flag policy. You know, that under no circumstances or carts, I would take those two lines, get the correct number in, and put it in the other thing, the other section.
Sure.
Well, if you're handicapped, you're handicapped, and there's a lot of places that if you're 15 yards from the green, you got to climb a pretty steep bank that a lot of people can't do. I mean, I don't have an issue with 15 feet, 5 yards for if you're handicapped. So, I mean, I don't see a reason that we need to create two different classes of handicapped citizens. Secondly, people, if we say 15 yards, people playing behind them don't know whether they're a bluebird or a goldbird, and the next thing you know, somebody's going to be calling the pro shop saying so-and-so is too close to the... I mean, I just see it as being an issue that we're creating a problem for ourselves forever if we don't. If you're 5 feet from the green and you're behind the green or to the side of the green, I think that's okay. That's acceptable. 5 yards, 15 feet.
I'll move those over into the operating policy part.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then it is a living document, so these can be amended if something proves not to work. Anything else on page 6?
Yeah, page 6. Why do we take out the fourth violation?
I didn't know that I think we didn't believe it was necessary.
Why? We decided at the last meeting that it was to put it in, or to have it.
I think we can put it back in if...
Why don't, you guys don't think it's necessary?
Have we ever had that situation? Have we ever had anybody get to a fourth violation?
I'm not aware. I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
I
Makes no
don't care,
difference.
but page 6 wasn't the manager's favorite page.
Oh, I'm okay, I'm involved on page. I have him at the third violation, so...
If you got a fourth violation, I don't see why we don't say you don't have it anymore, period. I mean, why
Well,
would you just...
you can always make it the fourth violation. They have to come before the Board of Supervisors.
Are we leaving it as a strike-through or remove?
I don't care.
I can go either way. I was just asking why it was taken out.
I think it was just yeah. Leave it or take it out. It's a simple...
Okay.
Let's leave it. It was there before. We can go forward.
Leave it in the document
Yes.
and don't...
Page 7. Pretty straightforward. Page 8.
Yeah, on page 8, the top paragraph, we should put in that Turtle Run hazards, or we got to explain what's going on with Turtle Run. There's no stakes, but if you go in the woods, there's a hazard. It is a hazard. And you play it as a lateral, correct?
Correct. So that was missed. We need to insert the scrub rule, is
Yeah,
what you're
we got to
saying.
put that back in, right.
So we will insert that.
Under the private carts, are you restricting all residents? They cannot have a gas cart? I know you can't have them on the golf course. Are you restricting them not to own one and use it as transportation?
No, where do we indicate that? I mean, we don't...
Under private carts, it was added, gas carts will not be acceptable to operate as a personal cart. But yet, earlier we say you have to have an electric golf cart, so I'm just trying to understand what that means.
Personal to private.
So I think what we need to do, I think we're trying to stress that gas carts aren't acceptable. We could just put on the golf course again.
Right.
Yeah, you have it on the golf course, though. You have Sun and Lake Golf Club will be allowed to operate, I'm cutting to it, to operate a privately owned electric golf cart on the golf course. And then after that, you had the gas. And I'm just asking the question, people can have gas golf carts in Sun and Lake, can they not?
Correct.
Okay.
I think what happened at the last meeting, we thought it was thought that we need to specifically say no gas carts on the golf course just to make it clear.
And maybe that's what we should say, no gas golf carts on the golf course.
Yes. So gas carts will not be acceptable to operate as on the golf course.
Well, just take the first line and just put in they can only operate electric golf, instead of adding another line, just say allowed to operate only privately owned electric golf carts.
Okay. We don't need the gas reference at all.
I don't think so.
And then done under golf cart operation, we would say where that's green, third bullet down, golf carts are not permitted to be driven inside the red stakes that line the fairway 35 to 45 yards from the green. The cart should return to the cart path when the stakes are reached.
We're not allowed to go closer to the green. However you want to say it.
Yeah, that's right.
And are not allowed to on the non-cart path side, not allowed to approach the green.
Basically, you're saying they're not allowed inside a line parallel to the red stakes. That's what you're trying to say, except for on the cart path side. And you can wordsmith it however you want to, but that's what you really want to get to.
I mean, on the next to last bullet, you probably should take out the word approved rake. I mean, take out the word approved. Nobody's going to check the rakes.
Yep, we'll take that one out. Page 9. On page 10, we just, with the golf committee, there was some rewording, and we need to add, under golf committee, we need to add that second line of that paragraph. It should say, there are at-large members and representatives from the WGA, MGA, LGA, and Casper Management.
Okay.
We had not included at-large members. And then on page 11, we don't have a formal policy on hiring members, so that was eliminated.
You want to do it? Do you want to do this one?
Is there anything we missed that we should add?
I'm actually trying to follow up on another.
Yeah, I got one. Again, this came from somebody through an email to me, to us. Under employee golf privileges, the suggestion was to add the following: employee guests are required to purchase their green and cart fees. I'd like to add that if it's okay.
I got the same thing, but to me that's redundant. I don't know. I don't guess that employees get to bring people to play for free, do they?
No. I mean, you could just say players accompanying employees need to pay the prescribed rate, or...
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you're writing something that should be there anyway. But
should be.
I mean, I guess I would have the question, do you really want to have a member-employee hiring practice? Do you not want to hire members, or do you want to hire members? I mean, if I were sitting in your seat, it would be nice for there to be a policy that we didn't, because that kind of puts you in the hot seat of being able to, if you don't want, if you want to. Up to you, I don't care. It has been an issue in the past, put it that way, that the Board of Supervisors addressed, I think, 10 years ago or close to it. We had members who got half dues for working on the golf course or starters or whatever, and I think maybe there's one or two of them still left that were grandfathered in. It puts you in an awkward position having a member and an employee. If you have to discipline an employee who also happens to be a member, that would be an uncomfortable situation, I would think.
I think that's why.
No, I think that's a good policy. I think we can discuss it. I don't know that it belongs in this book, but it's a policy we could have if we're going forward. We want to not hire someone who's a current member of the club.
I mean, I don't care one way or another, but it's, if I were in your seat, I'd want to have it, put it that way.
I'll make that a policy. Do we want it included in this book, or do we just want it to be a policy?
I don't care. It could be a policy, or it could just be your practice. It doesn't matter to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess the key is, as long as it's documented somewhere that somebody can say, they can go to that spot and say, this is what the policy is.
Are we going to grandfather the ones that are now?
What?
I think there's only a few left.
Scrivener and...
Yeah, I think there's only a few.
We're giving...
Besides, he actually purchases a membership.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
Yeah,
no, but this would exclude someone to do that in the future.
Correct. That's the way I read it.
So I guess it would just say future employees, future hires.
I honestly don't know that it needs to be a part of this document. It's
No.
just kind of up to you.
No, I'm just going to record it in the minutes.
Not that I think we've ever really had a problem, and it's sometimes hard to find good people to do the work. So if you wanted to make an exception, I don't have any issue with it. But it is an uncomfortable situation if it doesn't work.
I agree. Anything else we missed?
Yeah, do we want to add anything like talk about referral fee or stay and play or free membership, if you buy a house? I don't know, is this the right document to put that stuff in? Or?
I think it could be. I mean, it should be on the website. I would say this would be a good document for a referral fee. We have the stay and play. I mean, the stay and play program is on the website, so we could mention it. We have a stay and play program. Information is on the website.
This is more rules and procedures. I don't see any reason to put that in here. But I don't care. The thing is, you're going to wind up having to revise it more often. The more often you put stuff in it, the more stuff you put in it. It's really not a rule.
So, I mean, we could easily, if at membership descriptions, we could put at the end of that we offer referral fees.
Sure.
And then it'll be part of the document.
I mean, I'm not sure everybody knows that we do these things, even if it is on the website,
Correct. Anything else?
I'm working off of 3 documents, so hold on a second.
No worries.
While he's looking, is there any public comment?
Thank you.
I know, he gets that front seat.
Be fleet of foot here. All right, just a clarification on a couple of things. Dan brought up the paid membership prepaid at 2.3. Is that discount been tabled, or is it's going to remain the same? 2.3?
Defined in the
Can we go to 3? Can we round it up to 3?
It's going to be whatever the credit card
3/10 of a
fee
point.
is.
I mean,
We took it out of the document.
We just took it out of the document. It'll still be whatever the credit card fee is.
So I would assume we would address that at budget time.
Correct.
Okay,
It's
So it might be 2 or it might be 3.
2.3 for the rest of this year, so if someone joins, it's 2.3. Next membership cycle will be either 2.3 or whatever we change it to.
well, the user credit charge is 4%, isn't it? That's what normal businesses pay.
No, we're down in the 2.3 area is what we pay. Omar would know better, but
For credit card?
Based on volume and average ticket.
Is that what it is? Okay, quickly, Mark brought up a leave of absence here, medical note and all that stuff like that. And a person, say he goes out and he's got 11 months and he takes a leave of absence, and then the next year you want to come back, and the year after, and the year after. Is that a good policy? I don't know. If you keep on extending this leave of absence, it could be just confined to 1 year, or maybe 2, but not 3 or 4. Think about it.
I'm not sure what the...
He only pays 1 year, it can't be more.
No, I'm not done.
right now it's a one-time leave of absence, and
Well, what he's saying is, can that be extended from, let's say it happened today, your 2019 membership, if you weren't able to come back, then would it extend to 2020?
Yes, the way it's handled now is as a future credit. So you get in a car accident, you're out for 18 months, you miss 6 months. When you come back, you get your 6 months credit.
Yeah, okay. I think that's appropriate.
One time, though.
Yeah.
You'd have to go back to the board if it was more than once.
Okay, it just wasn't clarified because Mark had extended it 3 and 4 years. All right. I appreciate Jim on the flag crystals on the driving range because that is a good addition. All right, thank you. Next. You're welcome. Anytime.
I think you can hear me anyhow, but
My comment is,
What's your name?
Charles Shields, resident, Sun and Lake.
Just for the record.
If you're going to go through all of this for rules and
Charlie,
regulations.
just say,
You can't hear me?
put your name down
It's
here.
very
just for-
difficult for me to hear you during the audio, so if you could talk to the microphone, that'd be
And
great.
state,
Is it on there? Okay.
and state your name.
You're really driving me. Charlie Shields, resident, Sun and Lake. After the discussion of all the rules and regulations, my comment is, there's nobody out on the golf course to enforce any of this.
Correct.
We've talked for years about having a ranger, okay? To enforce the rules that we're talking about, the best way to do it is to have a ranger on the golf course. Now, that's going to have to come from the board, because I don't think Jim has the time or the money or whatever to be able to do that. The board's going to have to hire, in my opinion, 2 rangers for each course, and when you do that, you'll have the ability to police the golf course. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
I think he's right. Frank Guglielmi, resident. Regarding the stakes, okay, to keep the carts in the proper places. Years ago, when we started using these stakes, I suggested, okay, and I think the suggestion is still good, those stakes should be played at the extreme ends. In other words, take number 11, or number 11 on deer. Excuse me. The stake should be at the edge of the pond and at the edge of the cart path. You want to go around the stake, you drive the cart in the pond. Okay? That's what, right now they have them at the edge of the cut fairway. People go right around them. Okay? Number 5 on Turtle, for example. Got all those mounds inside of the green, they got the stakes. At the edge of the fairway, people go right over the mounds and drive their carts on the mounds. The carts need to go to the cart path once you see the stake. In some cases, we have arrows. We place arrows pointing to where you're supposed to go. Okay. Another item. Employees play golf in the winter at the discretion of the head pro. Is that right? Is that what I read up there?
Yep.
Yep. I don't understand that. You either play or you don't play. The other thing is, if the employees get free golf, I think all you gentlemen should get free golf.
I agree.
Because you're certainly not overpaid by any stretch of the imagination. I was on that board for 5 years, and I know what it takes. I know the effort you put in, and I think you should get free golf while you're on that board. In other words, you should have a membership, a full privilege membership, while you're sitting on that board. And personally, I think you should vote on that today. Thank you.
We do all voting like that in October, or during the summer, right, Daniel?
I do agree. I think his point on the markers, that we should have an arrow or something saying going to the cart path, I think that's an excellent idea, and I think we should incorporate it into the document that we worked on. Don't you guys think?
Yeah,
One more comment. The stake situation. I may still have them at home, but I drew sketches on every single hole here, and I showed where the stakes should be placed, okay? At the extremities and within a range of the green, so that you should move them around so you don't get a worn area. I actually presented that to the pro shop staff and everybody else with drawings of each hole showing exactly where those stakes should be. Of course, they were ignored, you know. The question was asked, what's in it for me? Anytime I propose something, that's the question. That's the answer that I get. So, at any rate, that's a very clear policy. Pinecrest. I don't know whether you people have played Pinecrest recently, but they have a green stake and a red stake. Where the red stake is, you do not go beyond that. You take your cart to the green stake. That's where you go around. And most of the time, that is placed at the edge of the cart path.
Thank you, Frank. Frank, if you have suggestions like that, see somebody on the golf committee about those stakes. I think that'd be just to let them look at it. Or Jim, ideas are good, so just get those to somebody and let them look at it.
This is probably the 20th time I've mentioned where the stake should be. I guess I don't know what else to do.
Well, I think you got to do that, and we got to try to enforce that. So thank you for doing that. There's also, and I have written down because I wanted to go through for board-to-board discussion about what we just went through. So I just want to mention that. And one of the things on there was Rangers. Should we talk about that then? Okay, so because we should talk, if we're going to do all this, which has been very painful for particularly me, I want something. We make all these nice rules. I just want to make sure that somebody enforces these. And if we have to pay for that, I think Charlie's correct there. If we have to pay for it, we should. So I'll bring that up at board-to-board discussion.
Okay.
Any other public comment?
Bill Murray, Sun and Lake resident. Having been in the golf business most of my life, you better define enforce when you get a ranger. And you also better arm them because, believe me, they either got to be big or armed if they're going to enforce policy and regulations, because it's a terrible situation. I've never met a slow player in my life.
Yeah.
It's always the other guy. So if you're going to put rangers out there, you better define what they're going to do for the consequences of enforcing the policy, because that will be a really tough problem. So
thank you. That's a good point.
I appreciate the thought of having a ranger, but I tell you what, they better either be big or armed.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Now, what are we going to do with this, what we just went through again? Are we going to bring it back for a final look, or are you going to hand it to us and let us?
Yeah, I would say it would be distributed, and then we can, I wouldn't say, well, I mean, it can always be brought back when it's, I mean, a month from now, if something comes up to a board member and they want to change it, it can always be brought back.
Well, I don't mind it coming back, but I think Ray and Mark and myself and everybody, and Dan and Joe ought to be able to look at it one more time.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Maybe do that and talk to you guys about that.
So January 12th, we want to bring to you another draft of the changes we just did without a resolution, and then we can do a final vote on these procedures. I don't know if we want to do it January 26th, which is our landowners meeting, or maybe the first meeting in February. Is that?
Well, as long as we can go over some of these things without having to do it basically here. Okay. Can we talk to Jim about any other corrections? Because a lot of it seemed, pretty agreeable, and I think most of us here want it. It's just the enforcement part of it.
Right, and I would say we could or all should agree that wordsmithing isn't something that needs to come back to the board, like if it was refunded instead of refund.
Yeah.
So we're only looking at marked changes, because I do want to get it, the purpose was to get this on the website, and I don't want to rush it, but once we agree, so I'll get it to the board and then get feedback from the board, and what I would say is anything that is controversial we can just leave off, but we should be able to get on everything that everybody agrees with.
Go ahead, Ray. Did you?
No, I'm just saying I'd like to see one copy without all the lines that are crossed off. But if any changes are going to be made, I want to know about them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not signing off on the document.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So I'm not sure how we want to do this. But let's say Mike decides he wants to take something out with you. somebody's going to have to communicate that to the rest of us. So
I think we can do that through Jim, or if it's something that's controversial, we can bring it back.
Okay.
Okay?
You want to do it that way? All right.
Yeah.
So, do we want a resolution then on January 12th to do a final adoption?
Does this require a resolution, or can Jim just implement it?
I don't think
It doesn't require a resolution at all. I just was asking if that's something.
So I would think if we all have a chance to read through it and get back with Jim, then he can go ahead and implement it. I don't see.
Okay, sounds good.
I got one further comment regarding the employee.
I can't hear you.
Golf privileges. Frank Goliani.
I don't think it's on.
Pardon?
I don't think your mic's on. Your mic's not on.
Is it? I don't know how to turn this stupid thing on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Anyways, there should be no discretion on the privilege. You either have it or you don't. Otherwise, you end up with a buddy system. In other words, if you get free golf, you get free golf. Don't leave it up to somebody in the pro shop to make a decision whether you should be able to get free golf or not.
You talking about employees?
Yes, employees.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think
Take the word discretion out and take the word regarding head professional or whatever, okay? And I think the employees, if they get free golf now, it should stay. And once again, I stress, the board should get free golf. Free memberships, not just free golf, free memberships.
I think the discretion is in whether or not we're busy, Frank.
Well, it doesn't matter, Dan. You either have the privileges or you don't.
Yeah, well, they have it, but if we're busy during season, you're not going to see a bunch of players.
Anytime that you leave something to be subjective.
Yeah, I got you.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else?
Can I have a quick comment, please?
Yes, sir.
I'll try to be brief. Thank you very much, audience. Really, recently there have been 3 broken doors on the lavatories out there. All right? Now, I have sent Jim some emails and pictures, and they're going to be rectified, and Ray has also been part of it. I just want to make a suggestion. The employees that go and clean these lavatories, if there's water running, there's something broken, please report it back to Jim or whoever their supervisor is. It's so irritating to see broken doors and water running for weeks and weeks and weeks. Hello? So many weeks and weeks, and Jim isn't notified. So instead of a golfer coming up and sending emails, I think it would be a part of the employees' mandatory requirements to report back. Thank you.
Thank you. Add-on items?
None.
Petitions and communications?
We did have a communication to the board, but we already discussed that on item E.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Staff reports?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and go first. The board did receive 2 treasuries. You received the year-end September financials along with October. I'd like to go through the cover page for September on each fund just to track how we performed. I have some prior year numbers so we can track how we performed last year compared to this year, and how we did budget to actual as well. So we'll start with the treasury report. We'll start on the second page, which is the general fund.
You're talking year-end?
Yeah, September 30th financials, Treasury's report. Second page is the general fund. First thing I'd like to point out is 98% revenue collection on assessments is exactly the same as last year. Very similar, very consistent. We continue to collect the same amount from same type of properties. Overall revenues, $3.9 million. It's up from 3.8 last year, so about $100,000 difference between last year to this year. We did exceed our overall goal, which we were at 105% total revenues. Total expenditures were at $3.2 million, which was $400,000 less than last year. We were at 3.6, which caused our net net income or excess revenue over expenditures to be $765,000. We did have golf operations. We subsidized $286,000 this year, and we provided $341,000 to golf capital. That provided an overall net income at the bottom of $132,000 in the positive. So last year we did have $343 in the positive, so we're a little bit less, but we did perform pretty consistent in comparison to last year. Does anyone have any questions on the general fund? No? Good.
Thank you.
He's going through them all.
We'll go through the utility fund. We'll go similar. Overall revenues, $2.4 million, $200,000 higher than last year. We're at 2.2. Total expenditures were $1.7 million, which was about $600,000 less than last year. Last year we did have some major projects. This year, this last year we didn't have as many, so $600,000 net income in the positive. $548,000 of that did go to savings in the year fund. We allocate that every year, so that is going to that. And then we did transfer $1.2 million for the maintenance building as of September 30th of last year. There has, some of the reasons for that large net income is we got rid of the conservation department. We've transferred some of the employees and some of the duties into the buildings and grounds in the general fund. So, and lastly, we'll go over golf. Total gross revenue for golf this year was $3.6 million, $20,000 higher than last year, so pretty consistent on that end. Cost of goods sold did go down, or was decreased by $30,000, which provided a gross margin of $3 million, which was $51,000 better than last year. Expenditures did go up $36,000 to $3.4 million, which provided a total net income loss of $373,000. The district subsidized $286,000, which dropped that loss to $86,000. So any questions on the golf?
Did you ever find out about that negative?
We did. Jim clarified that there's a check cut every year for membership play on outside courses. So they cut a check, and then the membership, I guess, pays that back. So eventually that number's supposed to wash. We've reallocated that from a revenue into an expense line item. So there's an adjustment for that this year.
The theater club matches.
Okay.
Tanya, Mike said he'd be back, but he said
I've texted him. I don't know where he is.
Okay.
He said I can step out and try to call him.
He said he wanted to talk about the Lanai.
Jim, do you have the information?
Because he said he was ready to give information, but he said he'd be back. I don't know. Let me call.
Yeah, I called him.
Mike
Hurley.
We better get this Illinois thing going.
Go ahead, Jim. You go ahead.
Sure. Just an update on our Stay and Play promotion. We did a giveaway through Golf Life Navigators, which is a company that matches up people with golf courses. We had 189 people respond to the giveaway where we have their emails. So we'll be marketing them with the club and with our Stay and Play program. We just hired Earl McMinn as our new golf course superintendent. His first day will be December the 20th. The courses are in good shape, but we're continuing to recover from the lack of water that we experienced when the turtle pump was down. We have gotten fertilizer out on both golf courses this week and have contracted some leaf spot disease on Turtle Run that we've sprayed the disease with a fungicide, and we're also going to be spraying the fairways on Turtle Run and be doing a preventative on Deer Run for the disease. It's not a disease you can actually afford to prevent, so you can't spray and spray and spray, and it is a common disease that we get. Mike can report on it, but we are continuing to work on the tree cleanup and making progress. Year to date, our golf operations, the area and all the other courses that we've talked to are experiencing reduced green fee revenue. Basically, it's common in a hurricane-hit area that people lose their disposable income with monies they spend on repairing their houses, and that it affects golf for a period of time. Our outside revenue is down as of through yesterday, a little bit over $30,000. The good news is our membership revenue is up $25,000. So at least through yesterday, we were in a pretty break-even situation. Our F&B revenue, we had a little bit of a slowdown in October, basically attributed to the hurricane, but since November 1, we've been back to normal operations and are actually even hoping that December looks like it could be up a little bit. On the kitchen, I should find out in the next week whether Cliff Scholes will be able to present the new design either January 12th or January 26th. He's had communication with Marty Wall of Marmer Construction to work on getting us better costing for the whole cost of what will be proposed. And then basically Mike has the blinds to follow up with.
Jim, could you
go get them?
Could you give to us an update on membership, like you did a month ago or so?
Sure.
Please.
As far as the numbers?
Well, who's joined, what they bought, so on and so forth.
What you gave us at the Casper meeting is what he's asking for, an update on that pertaining to membership, I think. Is that what you're,
right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know exactly the word was it, but it told us how many are people that went from 5-month to fulls and.
Oh, sure. I can go get that. I don't have that right in front of me.
Just get us a copy.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
What Mike say?
He'll be here soon.
Okay.
FEMA's here this morning. That's where he is. I
didn't mention, but that's why. That's where Mike is.
We'll continue with the meeting, and hopefully he'll be here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he doesn't make it, I have the general numbers, but Mike's done all the work.
Okay.
Good question on the course. Just a single question here. On 17 Deer, are we having issues with that new in front of the green with drainage or something? I've only played it a few times, but it's extremely wet and spongy. 17 Deer, where we ran across, we went across the whole front of the green, and we dug it up and put in drains, and you can walk over there, and it's actually like a sponge. So I'm just wondering if there's something going on over there.
I'm sorry, Raymond Perez, current superintendent, son of late. I haven't noticed any, Supervisor Cap, and I've been through there every day, and I've actually rode up and down it. Now, if you're talking about over to the left side, we're going to add, there has to be something added there because that's where the drain pipe ends, and it has to be ran either further down or over to the overfill grate that's there.
Okay, maybe Jim, you can go out there. I played there yesterday. That's the first time I played it in a couple of weeks. But
now, if there could be, if there can be an irrigation leak that hasn't come
I don't know.
yet,
I'm asking the question.
That might be what you might have seen. I'm not sure. I will go out right after this and look at it.
Especially where it was all dug up across the front.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else has experienced. You don't play. I don't know if any of you guys experienced.
I played it several times, and I thought it was pretty firm. Now, I didn't happen to walk through there yesterday, so.
I don't know.
A pipe could have busted. It happens.
I would agree. We still do have the issue of the rotors on the sprinkler system or irrigation system are basically throwing water 360 degrees instead of throwing it on the green, so you get as much in the front as you get on the green, and then it runs off the green, so you basically get more water in the front than you do where you want it. And to get the green as wet as you want it, you got the front wetter than you want it. So
and to add to what Supervisor Stiegel is saying, there's 4 heads that cover that general area. Okay. 2 from the green and 2 from the fairway.
Exactly.
The original plan is to change the two from the green and to have circle heads so that they don't reach out that far, because there's more than sufficient water being hit there by just two heads. So instead of having two head-to-head coverage, we got four heads.
No, if you haven't noticed it, then it's a non-issue, I guess. I don't know what to say.
I will look at it, though.
No, we're concerned with everything on the course, and it's good it came up anyway, because we did put a capital budget in of $160,000 for the irrigation, and knowing that we will be looking at trying to swap out, we spent $148 on the computer and the satellites, knowing that we will want to be swapping out heads to make it more efficient. So, and 17 is one of those places that the heads aren't in the optimal condition. So,
okay, thank you.
We're working
thank
on
you.
that, right?
Thank
Jim?
you.
Yes,
We're
sir.
working on that.
Yes.
I got a question. On Turtle 5, that fairway that's an algae problem, what's the problem with it?
It's called leaf. Actually, you could answer the leaf spot, Ramon. And I would like to thank Ramon for all his service to Sun and Lake. He's done a great job for us, and wish him well on all his endeavors in the future.
What's happened on 5 is a combination. First off, it was a lack of water. I actually went there this morning because we did spray it for a preventative, a fungus, which it does have some leaf spots. It'll go away. The difference right now, it goes away pretty quickly. The difference right now is these times like these past few mornings where we're real heavy in dew, we don't burn that dew off in time enough for that disease to be discouraged from being there. And by it having gotten thin, the plant stresses a lot more and it becomes susceptible to the disease, overpowering it. There's a lot of things that go into that area, especially on number 5. If you go in there and look and see how many divots are filled, so it's a landing area, a lot of traffic. Suggestion is take the mowers away and fertilize it heavy. Because now we're to the point where we're slowing down in growth, and everybody knows that because nobody's complaining about the rough. So,
is it fixable?
It is.
Without sodding?
Yes.
Maybe we should section it off, or we have this problem. We're just afraid to tell anybody not to go on the course some places. Put yellow tape or something. If it's dead, you don't want carts on it. You're just saying that. How do you stop them? We got to put.
Well, we can rope it off, but my first concern is stopping my guys from traveling through there and stopping the mowers from going through there.
Well, we're hitting off dirt. That's what we're basically, from 110 or 15 yards to about 150 from the green is dirt for most purposes.
On 5?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at that, because the area I looked at is before the 150-yard marker, which is coming right off the cart path.
It's all dirt. Yeah, I know you know that because you go out there every day.
It's thin. There's a difference.
It's very thin.
You can't clean a full head of hair.
It's a fine definition between thin and dirt. All right, I'll give you that. But why don't we just section it off?
We'll rope it off and keep it.
And all the other areas on the course, we should rope those off.
Actually, we'll go out and spike it because the other thing that happens is as this happens, it smooths out the pores, so the soil doesn't breathe. There's no percolation, no air movement. So we'll go out and spike it and rope it off and keep traffic out of it. We'll have to turn it into a ground under repair area.
That probably should be the best thing. Make it ground under repair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As well as fertilization.
Yes, as well as fertilization.
Ray, is that thinness you're talking about, is that like on the top of your head?
Yes. No, more like mine. He's got more hair.
Yes, it is from about here to here.
Mr. Hurley.
That's slow. Sorry I was late. I was with FEMA.
That's all right. Good job.
Did you get any money?
Take care of them.
Yes, we did get money.
Did you?
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
Not much, but some.
We didn't want to hear that part.
The Lanai.
The Lanai.
We've got 3 prices. Two of them are installed. One's around 15,000. The other one's $9,000, and we also got a price if we buy them ourselves and put them up ourselves, and that's around $5,000. So, and I'm gonna let Jim pick the color and the type he wants. Obviously, I'm just looking at the ones that we have like here, not real high-end stuff. Of course, the higher end we go, the more it will cost. But that's the price range we are, and it'll take about, if we do it in-house, it's going to take about 3 or 4 weeks to get it. Lowe's, I got a price from them, and they're supposed to be giving me a call today. The girl called in sick yesterday of when they could put them up to if we decide to go that end, that way.
It sounds good.
And that's the whole.
I think the board's just concerned about let's get going on it, and
Well, if you tell me how much you want me to spend, then I'll know.
The difference between the $5,000 and the $15,000 job. What, 5,000 is a Lowe's product?
Well, that's us doing it.
That's us doing it.
Yeah, I didn't see the 50. Well, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. 15, right? And that's a local company. You know, they've done work for us before. They're good.
And that's installed. 15.
That's installed. Also, Lowe's. I've worked with Lowe's before in the past. They're right around 9, and that's. I don't know if you've seen the samples that Jim has, but it's about 5%. The air will blow through it. Now, on this end here, we're going to almost have a solid piece because that's where the wind comes off the lake and stuff. You'll be able to see through it, but it's just a thicker, it's a better shade.
Which end? Where are you talking?
This end right here. The east. It's a little more.
Just a little section there?
Yeah.
Tanya, how would you recommend that we deal with this or do this?
Anything over 10,000 will need to be brought back to the board for approval. We do have monies, savings in the golf capital account due to the purchase of the tractor recently. We had about, versus what we budgeted, we had about a $7,000 savings. It's up to the board. We'll pay it through the golf capital account, but anything over 10 will have to be brought back to the board.
Do you have a preference? How do you like us to?
Well, it's up to Mike. The installation costs, they are what they are. They're pretty expensive. Right. So if you direct Mike and his staff, it'll be buildings and ground staff that will put up the shades.
Yeah. I like to use Lowe's.
Are you capable, or you want to use Lowe's?
Well, the only thing right now is because of everything going on. Mm-hmm. If we want to get done quicker, I would suggest to try Lowe's. I've used them in the past. The one good thing about Lowe's is they guarantee it for life. Any problems, they come out and fix it. So,
So you're saying that's...
If you don't want to go over 10,000, then I would go with Lowe's, and Jim can pick the colors and all that stuff there. I am not picking colors.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that chance.
So you're saying they guarantee, do they replace them?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even their roofing, even these companies that do roofing, they guarantee it for life.
We beat this around so much. Why don't we just do it?
Yeah. I just want to know how you guys want to do it.
I just want to make sure. So we're going to do all of the
whole area,
all of it.
Yeah.
In this type of
in this type of
just like this.
Yes.
And it'll be manually.
You're going to pick this color out just to be consistent?
I'm not picking colors.
No. It makes sense to pick out this color. And we think this is going to shade the lanai enough.
Shade. Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Let's do it.
How do you guys want to do this? I need. Do we need a motion for something like this, or just?
If it's going to be the $9,000 price that we're talking about, it can just be consensus because it won't have to come back to the board. So changes.
I would go with the 9,000. I don't think we should put any more on Mike's plate.
Okay,
I agree with that.
very good.
Do it.
Okay, thank you.
Do that. And,
Just need Charlie can rest.
Mike, I have a question too.
When will it be done?
2 years from now, Charlie.
About 2 years.
How quickly can you do it, you think, Lois?
Well, I'll contact them today and tell them we have the okay, so then we'll get going on it. So, I mean, they said 2 or 3 weeks to order it, to get it in, so, probably a month or two.
Very good. Tell them it's real important.
Okay, right. Well, they've been real good with us, so, we'll push them.
Okay, Mike, I have a question on the roofs for the rest of the community here. I noticed we got damage. What are we going to try to match them with our steel that we have?
I mean, Tanya and I and Omar have talked about how we want to replace them. We were with FEMA today. They are going to give us some money. I don't know how much. I mean, that's Omar's expertise there. And I think we have some insurance money coming back.
Well, that's the first thing we need to wait on is insurance going to cover? FEMA will only reimburse that percentage that they don't cover. So if they cover, let's say it's $5,000, insurance picks up $4,000, FEMA will give us 75% of that $1,000 difference. So that's going to be the first kicker we might not be able to use. If we want to change it, then FEMA is not going to be an option. FEMA will only replace as it was before. So we'll have to go back to shingle. So we're going to have to make those decisions once we find out if insurance is covering or not.
Our thoughts is to go back to metal, or to go to metal, to match this building, to match our building, to go with metal. There is a little cheaper metal to use than we use on these two buildings. They have a little screw that will show, but it's a lot cheaper. And I did go out and talk to a couple of contractors and just pick their brain. And for the areas, for the golf storage areas and the snack shack and a couple areas out in the golf courses is going to be around $50,000 to do all of them.
50
yeah,
or 15?
No, 50.
50,000?
Yeah, well, we replace them. It's going to cost us a lot for shingles too. I mean, I'm talking big areas. All the golf areas, the sheds, and the snack shack, and then a couple of the bathrooms that were also damaged.
Well, I think you probably need to, if you can do it ahead of time, get the difference for us.
Right. That's
So
what
that
I've been
way
working
we
on,
can
Michael.
have that
Right.
to
I've been
look
working
at.
on that. I mean, one guy said 42, another guy said 46. And, the one thing I want to give you a little higher, so when I come in lower, you'll like it better.
Yeah.
Let's wait on insurance before we make that decision. We need to
Right.
wait.
I think that's what we should do, and that's what we've been waiting for.
But we would also,
Get prices though, Kenny.
but we'd also like to know the differential between metal and shingles.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what so we can make it,
That was me.
because what do you think it's going to cost for shingles, 25 anyway, or 30?
Hardly know that.
Well, they're going to strip them and, check the plywood. But the one thing with the metal, we had no damage at all on our new building and this building at all.
Good.
From the storm. So it's kind of like an insurance thing. Thank you.
General Manager's report.
Can I ask you one more question? So December 10th is 2 days from now. Is it done? The shed, the maintenance facility.
It's the 15th.
Are we done?
It's the 15th. They're doing the CO today. A matter of fact, I have to meet with...
Oh, is it 15th? It was 15th?
Yeah, it's the 15th, and we think we're going to be in there. We're going to start moving in next week.
So it'll be done?
It'll be done.
Good.
If there'll be some stuff on the outside they have to finish up.
Already done.
Right, but the inside of the building will be done.
Okay.
We'll be moving in next week.
Thank you, Mike.
All right?
Just tell the audience we're going to have some kind of open house in early January, but we'll get that out because we'd like everybody to go see it.
I'm proposing January 5th, which is a Friday. I'd like to do a 10 to 12 and then a 1 to 3. That'll give, if there's any schedule conflicts, that'll give opportunity for the public and supervisors to stop by during those times. If everybody's okay with that, I think everyone's schedules is good for January 5th.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks.
And I think it's something, it costs us a lot of money, but it's something I think everybody's going to be proud of, so. Okay, general manager's report.
Well, I'll do mine real quick. It's short. Ayala, no movement. Judge Radin is rotating out. He's going back to Polk County. We'll be getting Judge Helms beginning of next year. So if the second DCA does not, view our appeal favorably and dismiss it completely, it'll be back in front of I think this will be the third judge. So there may be a little bit of growing pains there if that happens, but we'll just think positively that the DCA is going to view our appeal favorably. That's all I have.
Okay. Sorry, Dave. Tanya.
Yes. Our annual landowners meeting is going to be January 26, 2018, and any person seeking to qualify for election by the landowners will need to submit a written declaration of intention to me by December 28th. This is Supervisor Stiegel's seat currently, and again, the meeting's January 26th at 9 a.m. Okay? I have a quick handout for you, too, while I'll keep talking while she hands that out. Our code enforcement changes were adopted by Highlands County on Tuesday.
Thank you.
I've mentioned that to the board already. I had a meeting with the school board yesterday regarding the traffic concerns on Center Lake Boulevard. The school board, this was just a discussion with staff and Highlands County Engineering. They have not made a decision on what to do about the situation, but it has gotten to the point where parents are parking over at Florida Hospital, taking up parking spaces for their employees. They're parking along the entrance where the ambulance enters into the hospital, and it's become a very dangerous situation. The school board looked at the first option they're going to do is reach back out to the church to see if there's anything that they can do as far as a lease or something with the church so that parents can park there. If not, they might entertain the idea of a parking lot on their own property. There is room there for that, but again, there's cost benefit when it comes to something like that. But Highlands County has told the school board we continue to have a traffic situation, and the first time an emergency situation happens, we don't want that to happen. So they recognize it, but there's no decision yet on what they're going to do. I have a handout for you there. We have been approved by Florida Department of Transportation on a sidewalk grant. The sidewalk is going to run west to east along Center Lake Boulevard. So this was an application that was done by Highlands County earlier this year in February, so this is great news on our behalf. It's going to be a 1,600-foot sidewalk, and so you can see the red line as I've drawn it there for you. And so this is great news. This came through this morning. So this,
How much was that grant for, just out of curiosity?
I don't know, but they're going to start the engineering of the sidewalk in fiscal year 18-19. So that engineering will determine the cost, but there's no out-of-pocket cost for the district nor the county. This is strictly an FDOT grant.
Okay.
Also, the FDOT also approved a turn lane into Sun and Lake. As you're headed north, and there's only one turn lane there. There's going to be a second one, and they look about the year 2022, I think, before it's going to be constructed. So it's still a ways away, but FDOT has approved it, and we're going to be moving forward.
That's the one on 27?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Very good. Yes, so if there's any other projects that we could consider, I'll be working with Highlands County Engineering for future grants with FDOT. Let's see if I have anything else quickly. Our bid for strategic planning has been advertised and will be due January 2nd. Also, next week, we will advertise for the bid for drainage projects related to Matanzas, Nada, and Granada ditch cleaning, the Balboa and Columbus dual culvert replacements, and repairing Minorca culvert inlets. Also next week, we're going to advertise for proposals related to the assessment methodology. So we've got a lot going on before the holidays. Last thing on projects, we do have all the fence quotes in for the dog park, and we'll be bringing that to the board at the next meeting for approval because it is over $10,000.
Okay. Very good. Is that it? Thank you.
Yes.
Unfinished business.
None.
New business.
None.
Committee reports.
No committee.
Okay. Public comment on anything you want. Oh, thank you. Oh, Bill.
Bill Norcross, public comments. I'd like to thank Raymond while he's still here and for the job he's done and definite improvements. The greens we played the last week or so are very, very good. I don't see any bad spots. And I don't know if it's a different procedure, but this is the first time I've seen somebody actually cut the green in the morning and then whip them. Now, that is something unique I haven't seen in a long time, and I appreciate it, and thank you again. As far as the new maintenance area, I did have a complaint about the new chain link fence which runs along Columbus Avenue, and the problem is I wish they had put the hedges on the outside on Columbus Avenue to kind of blind that area. I know you did put up a screen on the back of it. Okay, fine. I mean, you've got a great entrance, but it seems to be a little bit of a downer when you see a chain link fence. I wish it was green or black fence. That would have been more appropriate. I wish you'd kind of rethink that a little bit.
We have plans down the road. We have plans down the road to put some trees but we're trying to stay within budget, Bill, so we're not adding anything right now, but we do plan on to do some trees and bushes down the road.
Well, the hedges are on the inside on one side, and then the entrance, the hedges are on the outside. It's just too bad that you didn't continue all the way around. Tanya just mentioned the dedication for the open house, which is a great idea for the maintenance area. But I was going to suggest that most companies, when they do have business, they like GE would once a year have open house, and it's a great idea. Maybe they can explain the policy too, because your office is going to be, Mike's office, going to be there. Now, your public is included or excluded from going in there. I know you don't want people driving through just for joyride, but if they have business in there, they're able to go there, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're open, the hours are open around the year now, and the door's always open.
Okay, so I just don't want to have anybody restricted in that area. And Tanya, thank you very much for trying to resolve that parking problem for the 700 kids in that elementary school, because it is a real problem. And the parking on streets is causing more of a problem. Now the hospital may be complaining about additional parking. I got it. So maybe something that could be done with the church, maybe split the insurance cost, do that. But I appreciate the work on that. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jim Jonas. I'm a resident. I live at 6028 Matanzas Drive. It's important that you know my address because on Matanzas there's one stop sign, one intersection between Edgewater and Cortez that have stop signs. It's a three-way stop. I'm not sure who's responsible for enforcing the traffic laws in Sun and Lake, but if you want to make a lot of money, just set somebody there at that stop sign, because I would bet 9 out of 10 cars and 10 out of 10 golf carts don't even bother to stop there. I've seen golf carts come down Matanzas at full speed and never even hesitate. And I mention this because across the street from me, there's a family with some young children that live there. And I think it's very dangerous if these cars and carts are blowing that stop sign. And I sit on my front lawn because I overlook that stop sign, and I see it happen every day, time and time and time again. So I don't know who's responsible for enforcing the traffic laws in Sun Lake, but that's definitely a dangerous situation.
The sheriff's department, I mean, we can't stop people. And Jim, I agree with you 100%. They fly down there. The only thing we can do is ask the sheriff to sit there on the corner for a while, and keep.
I think there's a deputy that lives further down in Matanzas.
There is, yeah.
But he's way down the line there. My second, I had two more quick ones here. Maybe I can talk to Mr. Hurley offline about the status of the lift station that's behind my building on Matanzas. I've talked to you numerous times about the stench that comes out of there. Just wanted to have an update on whether that's ever going to be resolved.
We have a bad fan. It's on back order. Matter of fact, I was over there Saturday. Your next door neighbor called me, Joe, and I went over there on Saturday, and it does smell, but the fan's gone, and it's on back order. It should be in next week. That's what I was told yesterday by the electrician. So, I mean, and it does smell. And we also are going to try, we'll be trying a chemical in there to kind of help the smell better. But we all, but
just for your information, when that station stinks, and it has now for about a year, I can't sit outside on my back lanai. It's just nauseating smell. And Joe Hanegraaff, who's my neighbor just to the west of me, when he sits out on his patio in the evenings, it's horrible.
Mike, is this a relatively, you said in the past year, Jim?
Yeah, I've been in my location 3 years, Mark, and I didn't notice it till about a year ago.
I was going to say, okay.
Well, it's right there. The grease builds up and stuff, so you have to send guys down and clean it up. It's just that they're so close, he's going to get the worst than anybody. We are going to try a chemical. Matter of fact, I talked to John this morning, and the fan will definitely help.
I was more interested in, that's why I said if it's relatively new, then, what created that recent issue, and I understand what you're attempting to do.
And it's,
but he hasn't had that problem.
I'm not going to buy your argument, Mike. At a lift station, it's going to smell, because I've talked to people who build lift stations for a living, and they can be built, and they can be maintained, and they can be retrofitted so that there is no odor coming out of those lift stations.
Right.
It can be done.
Yeah, but Jim, you got to understand, these are 25 years old, 20 years old. If we go in there, tear it all up and start fresh, I'm sure we can. But you got to remember, it's 25 years old. So
I sent you an email, Mike, with there's a company that makes an aftermarket device that can be added to lift stations that will counteract the odor. It's a matter of chemistry, the types of odor they are in this machine, like ionization. I don't know all the science behind it. It can be done.
We do use it, Jim, on the Florida, but it's very expensive. How much is that a month? It's $1,700 a month to use it. It works great, but it's real expensive. So, but we are trying, and I promise we're trying, and I promise we ordered the fan, and I understand your problem, and I was over there with Joe on Saturday, and Joe can be tough, and we all know that, and it's we're trying. That's all I can tell you.
I appreciate it if you try a little harder.
All right. I'll try harder.
My last comment, I second Frank's idea about the fact that the board should get golf memberships as part of their compensation for serving on the board. Full membership, great. If you guys think of partial or something, because you guys put in a lot of time, a lot of effort doing what you're doing. So I think you should be compensated for that through some kind of golf membership.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? Okay. Discussion to and from the board.
I got just a couple of questions. I'm going to, I guess, ask Tanya to price out the wetland situation across from 10, the trees, so that when we're ready to do it, we can go ahead. I don't know if it's time. Would you get the price, or Mike, or how do we do that? Okay.
You do it?
Okay, but I think we ought to price it out so that when we're ready to do it, we'll know what we're talking about. The other thing is, I got to do this for Billy. He wanted those signs, the 2 championship golf courses. I had it priced out. It's $4,454 for 2 sets. I don't know if you guys are interested in pursuing it or not. I told him, but I did tell him I'd bring it to everybody's attention.
I've never seen anybody put up a sign anywhere that said non-championship golf courses. I mean, there can be the biggest pig path you ever walked on, and they still want to call it a championship golf course. So I don't know that it adds a lot. I don't know it hurt anything either, but that would be my only comment. I don't know.
What do you say?
Whatever.
We don't want to do it?
Would that come out of a general fund?
Would it be big enough you could even read it? I mean, that's a long... Do they give you a scale? Tell you what? Do they give you a scale as to what?
No, I don't have it to scale, no. I just have a picture, and they kind of put on what they thought it would look like.
It'd have to come out to the general fund out of our buildings and grounds. I mean, we don't have that budgeted specifically.
Right. So it would be out of the general fund.
It's a galvanized material.
Yeah, it was from Don Bell, right?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have any of the details on the size or this big? That big?
It might be in the email.
I'm just curious.
Yes. Let's see. They are 2 sets of flat cutout aluminum, non-illuminated 6-inch letters painted on a something bronze, Duranic bronze with a 1/2-inch stand off the reed.
That's pretty small.
Yeah, that was my point. You got a lot of letters and not a lot of room to put it in.
I think 6 inches because it's in scale with the sign. I mean, I didn't go out and measure it, so I don't know. I mean, 6 inch. I don't know. It's part of the original design given to me by Kurt McCullough.
I'm just saying, I'm not against the idea of it. I might be concerned a little bit about a 6-inch height. That would be my concern.
If you could share the details with us, I think maybe bring it back once we understand what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah.
I'd be glad. I'm not opposed to it either, but...
You want me to get a sample of the lettering? Can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
How's that? Would that work?
Yep.
I think that would work.
Okay.
Plus, if you can share that with us.
Get something bigger than 6 inch, too.
Yeah, I'll be more than... you guys want a copy of this? I'll send it to you.
No, I got plenty.
I can send it. I can send it, yes.
This thing.
I'd like to see what you got. We're going to talk.
I guess we can get a copy of the actual size.
Thank you, Ray. Anybody else?
I had a couple of things. One, I was just looking at the October financials for the treasurer's report. We got 33 pages of checks written. I mean, we killed a lot of trees here. I don't know what that's supposed to accomplish for us. If that information could be on the website, if somebody wanted to go look at it, as I understand it, this is every check we wrote during the month.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get any information from it that I felt like I needed. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, that's a lot of money times 5 times 12 months. It didn't make sense to me that we would do this. I was
like this. The detail. You're referring to the detail on the back, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I thought...
No, just all the payables, all the checks.
Oh, the extra.
It's 33 pages. Well, it's
this is
front and back, if you will. I just didn't think it made sense as information that we needed. Omar, you might have a comment. I don't know.
No, I think in the past we've made some adjustments and put information online, so we can continue to do that and make that report accessible online. You can access it if you want to go in and look at check detail, but we don't have to print it for the board if it's consensus of the board, you guys don't really feel we need to print it.
I like the report. He's just saying.
Like I said, you can still have it online. We add more detail online. Like I said, it's going to be consensus on what you guys like.
What I think what you're saying is just like this report, only stop at page 17, right? And get rid of what's after it. Yeah.
Well, it depends which one you're looking at.
Oh, I'm
One of the
sorry.
reports starts at 8, page
Stop
8.
where the checks are listed.
Exactly.
Right. But
Just in paper format. Online, you'll still get access to all
right. I
30
agree
pages.
I agree with Dan. Yeah.
It doesn't cost us anything to have it online. It costs us a lot of money to do this. That was one. I mean, I don't know if we need if you just want general consensus, I guess that's all you need.
Yeah, general consensus.
You can
fine.
stop it.
Okay. We'll try it out for a couple months, and if you guys decide you don't like it, then we'll go back.
Okay. Second thing, I guess, is I'm not sure how to say this without coming off in a negative manner, which I don't mean to, but I'm not sure that I've heard exactly what the business case is for us to spend a whole lot of money on the kitchen. I'm okay with doing it. I understand that what we have is inadequate. But I think along with that, and maybe I'm missing something here, but along with that, to me, to spend $500, if that million, whatever number you want to come up with on a kitchen, we have to have a business plan saying we're going to be able to increase capacity, or we're going to increase sales, or we're going to somehow pay this back, or at least get some type of return on it. So to me, looking at doing the kitchen without looking at doing the lanai at the same time or beforehand, so we have extra seating, doesn't make business sense to me. Just as a business plan, that wouldn't make any sense. So that's just a general comment. I'm not opposed to doing the kitchen. I think we need to do whatever we need to do, but it has to be part of at least in my way of thinking, a business situation that makes sense from a cash flow and an income standpoint. And that's all I had.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Just keep talking about that, because that's the only way we're going to ever do anything. All I have is, I wanted to bring up about the enforcement of all this work we've done the last couple of meetings. Because, like I said, I want stuff to be the same for everybody, and I want it enforced at least partly, or there's no reason for us to do all this. And I think we've run a long way from when I first came here. That I'm looking at stuff and looks like we're going to be pretty fair in how we do things, and which I think is Jim had a lot to do with that too. I mean, because when he got here, it wasn't too good. So I just would like you at least, I don't know if Tanya said something, I know we have somebody that goes out there on Sundays or the weekends just to check carts, but we really do need some people out there at certain times to at least, I mean, if you're out there golfing, you just see so many abuses, and like Bill said, I don't know if you need somebody big, but it just is blatant. All this stuff and hard work we do, and people don't pay attention to it.
I think that situation got a lot worse when we did away with the Rangers, and the way that the GPS units were sold was as a way to do away with the Rangers, but that only enforces outside play to the extent that they can't get too close to the greens, but most of the violations, no, I shouldn't say it that way. A lot of the situations that I see that could be done better are from members.
Well,
some people think they're entitled to go wherever the heck they want to because they pay their dues. And there are people who, I'm not talking about people who play golf once a year. I'm talking about people who play golf 5 times a week. It's not good, and it's we should have some type of a ranger program, not every day necessarily.
Right.
But somebody's got to be out there, and they don't have to be confrontational so that they're in a fight with somebody, but, you can remind people in a nice way, and if you ask them not to do it in the future, I think that's a first situation. If you have to, to me, you use the carrot and then you use the stick. So
yeah. I don't know how really to handle this other than I'll just keep bringing it up if we don't do nothing. But Jim, could you maybe put something together for us? And again, like Dan said, it doesn't have to be every hour, every day. But I'd like to try something to try to correct some of the stuff that we have.
Jim, is it possible? I mean, a ranger really can't be, I don't think, an effective ranger can be really one of the golfers and one of the, even maybe within the community here, because we've had that before, and it ends up being, hi, how you doing? And it's not really you need to move along. So maybe, and I don't know if you can do this, can somebody from your operation maybe do that? It's not as close in terms of member players and things. I'm not, for an example, let's say Tommy or somebody. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to necessarily put him in that spot either, but we've had rangers out there in the past, and like I said, there were residents, there were also golfers, and all they were doing is really driving around.
Yeah, it makes it tough.
They have to feel like they're going to be supported by management, and I think that's when it jumped the track before, is that they not disciplined some people, but they talked to some people who then went in and complained, and they were told to leave them alone. I know that happened long before Jim got here, so that's not an issue with Jim. But I do think part of the issue as well, is, as Frank said, is that we need to take those red top stakes, and move them out, or maybe put another set out there, whatever you got to do. But it's not, you got to get off the fairway. You got to get back on the cart path.
Yeah, could you do that for us? And Tanya, would that be something Sun Lake would pay for, or is that something coming out of the golf operation?
It'd be out of golf operations, and that's something we have not budgeted. Right. So I think what you're asking for is put together a budget and the number of hours that person would work. Would it be a part-time position, full-time position? Those are things that...
Or maybe use the assistant pros, some of them, as one round a morning or whatever. Right. You don't have to be out there 24/7, but if they see you out there, and it really should be player assistance instead of putting ranger on the card. It's player assistance. We'll help you any way we can. By the way, get on the cart path.
Just put something together and bring it back to us. And do you need any help on that, or do you want to just do that for yourself?
I can do it myself, but I'll actually send you an email to quantify what we see as maybe the top 5 things that he would accomplish or she would accomplish.
Very good.
Now, President Gilpin, Jim hasn't budgeted for this, so if we do come up with a proposal, we would have to take it out of general fund subsidy. We'd have to do a budget amendment depending on what dollar amount that we're talking about. So, because he hasn't planned for this, so if we do that this year, that we would have a budget amendment for that. So.
Well, maybe we could, you're saying we maybe could limp through that this year, and maybe...
It depends on your proposal.
Yeah, we're just waiting, listen, but I just really think with all this work, and that's a lot of work that's been done by those who really care about that, and a lot of our time, and I just think we needed the changes, and we needed to enforce it as much as we possibly can. I don't know how that's... But anything else?
Just a few questions of Jim. I know this is to and from the board, but just a couple quick questions. I meant to ask you earlier. A question on when we plan on seeing an updated directory, if at all, this year.
I'll double check. That should be coming out in January, would be my understanding.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things. The other thing is the Snack Shack's open now, correct? Or is it not?
I believe it's January through March that we open the snack
so
shack,
it will
other
be
than
open.
on busy times.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other question, and it's actually to and from, well, partially to the board as well as to Neil maybe, it was mentioned about the dog park and the fencing and things of that nature, and I haven't heard a lot about the project, and I haven't actually sat down with Tennille on it, but is the intention still to remove the cart barn over there? Originally, they were going to tear that down, and they were going to make parking over there.
I had suggested that, but I didn't really get a consensus at the time, so I think the only thing we were looking at is a handicap parking space there, and then opening that up, but we're not even going to have a handicap parking space there anymore. It's not required, and there's really no requirement that we knock it down, although if the board wants to consider that, it's fine with us.
I could never understand why you would be taking down those facilities there, and especially when we're starting to grow. I mean, the structures are fine. There's nothing wrong with them, and when they wanted to put parking over them, and people take their dogs, a lot of them are on the golf carts anyway. So, I mean...
Yeah, so the structure is fine. It's not
going to happen? Fine. That's all I needed to know.
Is that it? Everybody? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.